You're listening to Reviewing History, your comedy history podcast. I'm filmmaker and teacher Brian Rupert, joined here by,
as always, Stephen Bagliacco
and
Anthony Galati. Hi.
and we have a very special guest today.
Very special.
In fact, the first voice you hear on the show every episode is not one of us.
No, it's not.
It is actually the man sitting next to us, one of my best friends, Patrick the P-Man Curley.
I have been on every single episode of this show. Would not exist if it wasn't for me.
Unwillingly.
Simple as that.
It's
Simple
actually
as
true.
Yeah.
Actually
Unwillingly
true.
on the show.
That. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
How do you feel about that? Does it make you feel good?
I think I think my presence on the show in the beginning for 90 seconds without my face not being on camera, I prefer that. I prefer to just be a soundbite in the beginning that's barely audible. But
We
I'll
get
take
a
what I can
shocking amount of questions about that fucking song.
Yes.
Like,
It's a banger.
it
The
really
song's a
is.
banger.
It
is a
rocks.
banger. Do you guys play the full song, or do you only get the first half?
Most of it.
No, so the full
it-
song plays. You get like the first 30 seconds, and then at the
Yeah,
end,
the end,
you
you
get
get
the
the
last
outro.
minute.
Oh, so you get the
whole experience.
We get
the
you.
penultimate
You get them
song?
coming and going.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You are the last, you are the first word and the last word.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what? Anyone who's known me a long enough time to know, anytime I'm in a room, I'm always the last word. So that's 100%. You know what? This is very fitting.
So I send you the messages sometimes when people will contact me and be like, I love the P-Man.
Yes.
I love that song. What do you think when you get those messages?
This has happened like a lot of times. This has literally been probably every other week. I get a screenshot from Brian of a guy being like, where can I get the rest of that song? Is there more to it? Is it really only 90 seconds? Yes, it's only 90 seconds. You can't do. Genius needs to come and go in short spurts and bursts. You can't take something
That's
of that.
why I tell my
that
wife in our
magnet-
relations.
Well, yeah. I was gonna say, yeah. I'm the kind of guy who, no matter what I'm doing, 90 seconds is the max I can last anyway. So that's the reason why the song is
That's
only
fair.
a
I'm
minute,
impressed.
a minute and a half. Yeah. 90 seconds is
job.
good. Yeah. If I can
Your
make-
claim
if I
to
can make it-
musical fame is that.
Yeah, it's true. Yes. The
Does
people-
it? Is it off-putting that that's the most popular thing you've ever created?
Yeah, I think at this point that
How many full-length albums have you like created that are released?
we've released 2 full-length albums. There's a third one that never got released that was recorded in 2016 or 15, maybe 14 actually. Oh, it was probably 14.
been a
or
while.
15.
Yeah.
Never even came out. So that album was recorded and never released because we realized nobody gave a fuck about it. So we
You just gave
like,
up.
Why even waste the time? It cost a tremendous amount of money to produce that album. And you know, some may say it was such a financial misstep that it even could have led to multiple people's bankruptcies.
What
Some
band
may
is
say-
that?
Some may say.
Yeah, what's the name of this
The name of the
band?
band is Theater of the Absurd. That is the name of the band.
And can they find your music somewhere, Pat?
Yeah, we are on Amazon. We are on Apple iTunes. We're on every single streaming thing. We have an album on there and an EP. So from the thing that we recorded that cost an extravagant amount of money to produce, because we obviously needed a string quartet and like 10 guest musicians. We needed to be recorded in the same studio.
2 guys in the band, by the way.
2 guys in the band, string quartet, 10 guest musicians, recorded in the studio and mixed and mastered by renowned people. The dude who recorded us in Brooklyn has a platinum record on the wall.
Didn't he
for
record
John
Cynic?
Legend? John Legend.
John Legend.
Yeah, of course we needed that for a band that had 20 fans. It only makes sense
think,
to go the full way.
We need to preface this because the listeners are like, wow, he has a band and it's stuff like the P-Man. It's not the P-Man.
It's not the P-Man.
That's not
Yeah.
the music
If it
you're
was
playing.
the P-Man, you would have went platinum, it seems.
yeah. I was gonna say, yeah. I think I'm.
That was your financial misstep.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
not
as far as I know,
promoting
this pod clearly has 1 million listeners a week, so I'd be going platinum multiple times. I have drafted a lawsuit against the pod for the lack of monetization of my P-Man.
Yeah, when we monetize the show,
We
I'm
have to
suing
give you
immediately.
What
That's
was
really
it written
sad.
for? It wasn't written for the show, obviously. What was it written for?
So my brother,
His self-exploration.
we wrote the P-Man as a vanity project because we just knew it was so good.
Sure.
No.
Yeah.
So Brian commissioned my brother to record multiple songs for Brian's vanity project. Speaking of vanity projects. So Brian, as everyone knows, because he says that at the beginning of the show, is a filmmaker, or was a filmmaker. I'm not sure what he characterizes himself anymore.
He calls himself a filmmaker. It's like
We call it.
it's like George Bush saying, "I'm the president."
Okay.
You know.
I record shit regularly. I'm constantly working on film projects.
but you're not making them.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not.
Well, so you're.
I think George Bush was the president more recently than Brian was a filmmaker. Now that I'm thinking about it.
No, I was in the Obama administration.
Yeah.
Well, he
Although-
commissioned you for the movie, The Uninvited Guest, right?
Well, that was the first commission, but I don't think the P-Man was for that. That was for your projects when you were in film school.
No, P-Man was in Uninvited Guest.
It wasn't the Uninvited
Yes.
Guest.
But
Okay.
was
It's
Oh,
in-
it's in the trailer.
It's in the trailer and it's in the
Yes.
comic book
It's-
scene.
Yeah, it's in the background.
That's our scene,
Oh, you're
Pat.
right.
Yeah,
That's the first time me and Ant were introduced to the world of Beaver Brain Productions. Do we have to censor
Brain.
that out? Is that
No.
something that's cut out?
No.
It's
Or is that
Beaver Brain
disgusting?
Productions.
Yeah, no.
What's the canon? What's the lore behind like your friendship? Do you guys like have like a story? Like does the fan?
Well,
base
yeah,
of
we're not
this-
friends.
Well, that's
They tell everyone that they like each other.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's
like how
That's the canon.
how invested is the pod's fan base in like your personal
Our lives.
relationships?
I mean, they know we're three best friends, and they know a decent amount.
Do they?
I don't think they know much about the inner workings of that film. Like we never really dived into
Okay.
that, and but they do know we used to do shorts and stuff like that together, the three of us, and you've been included in some of them as well. So they do have a background of it, but I
Okay.
wouldn't say extensive knowledge.
Oh, you were Leif Erikson.
I was
You were.
Steve Erickson.
Yeah.
I've been in
Yeah.
a few of these.
Yeah, you were in some shorts.
I was in the.
You're in the feature.
I was in the feature. Me and
Yeah.
Anthony were in the same scene of the feature, and
Yeah.
apparently the
He
P-Man
did your
was
music
playing.
video,
He did my
Yeah,
music
so like
video.
you're very interconnected in the world. You know,
Which-
like it's you.
The music video is definitely out of anything related to my band outside of the P-Man, which is not my band. So to put that out there, but it's obviously a work of creative art, magic. The music video was the only thing that my band ever did that had more than like 50 people actually listen to it. So that was. Thank you for that, Brian.
Yeah, I'm not the worst director in the world.
It came out good.
It was a good music
It came
video.
out good.
Yeah.
It was good music
I liked
video.
it.
Theater of the Absurd, Rising Tides in Stillwater. Check
Yeah.
that out.
It's a good song.
Graviton Records.
Graviton Records was the record label that did release that album. They kind of sucked. I'll put that on record, which is the reason why we didn't release a second album with them, and the last album never went anywhere. Never got released. So
I was wondering, do you think you could walk us through the lyrics of the P-Man?
yeah, I actually think I can remember all of them from memory.
Wow,
because-
that's impressive.
And do you remember
It
like
is.
what? Do you
Very
remember like what
comprehensive.
the song is kind of about?
yeah, it's about me.
It's about a man's struggle.
It's about. It's really actually it's the epitome of an individual's existential crisis, really, because you're looking at a situation in which a man, a gentleman, is asking not just himself, but the deep chasms of the world, staring into the unending abyss of the world and asking, am I this? And then coming to an incredible determination at the end, I am this. This is what I am. I am the P-Man. So, incredibly existential song.
It,
Very
it
deep.
has some deep meaning
It
to
does,
it.
actually.
Yeah, it's coming to grips with your own self.
Yeah.
Very
It's-
impressive.
It's some
It's very Nietzsche, right?
It is. It's Nietzsche and its machinations for sure. I read a lot of Jung before I wrote the lyrics on
You have to
that
get
one.
the poetry down.
I had to go very deep into late 1800s you know,
Yeah.
psychology
Sure.
to kind of get into the vibe to write that. There was certainly a bit of method acting as far as the performance itself. If you listen to the song, the vocalizations, you can hear the pain. You can hear the pain in the man's voice.
Would you ever
Me being the man,
be
obviously.
against playing that live?
Um,
Like if we did a live thing and we were like, we're gonna have Pat perform P-Man, would that be on the table?
Well,
We'll get a full orchestra.
okay, now we're talking my language.
10 piece.
If it's like at least $60,000 of wasted production, then sure, but definitely.
for a minute, 30
Yeah,
seconds of the
If
P-Man.
there's like,
live.
if there isn't like resulting Chapter 7 bankruptcies coming from
You don't do it.
from the actual performance, then I'm not sure I can partake in that.
All right,
type of
and
thing.
one other thing. So me and you were roommates for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years.
Do you have any funny, embarrassing roommate stories about me you would like to
Oh,
share?
tell them about the milk.
So many. The
milk.
Tell them about the milk in the sink.
Okay, we have.
I don't even remember the milk.
I was gonna go. With,
I thought you were gonna go with the meat,
I was gonna go with the meat.
The
I
meat
was
is
gonna
the
go with
story.
ground
The
beef.
meat.
but you got to go with the milk because even I don't know what it is now.
So there was a scenario in which Brian had, made a few meals, prepared some meals, utilized some dishes, piled them into the sink in a period of time where I wasn't like I may have been away for like a day or two or something. And I come home. And what do I come home to? A rather foul stench from the sink. And when I look in this pile of dishes that Brian left in the sink, there was a bowl of milk. Likely, this man couldn't even drain the milk from your cereal bowl. And it was just in the sink.
You lazy
And it was
shitbag.
completely curdled and spoiled beyond belief to the point where it like was like visibly like
Congealed?
it was congealed. It was like there was
It's
some
curd. It's
there
not
was
curd.
yes, it was essentially curd, and it was despicable. It was
Did you
pretty
clean
bad.
it? Or did you make him clean it?
Did
What-
you dump it on his bed?
I wish I did that.
He wouldn't have noticed.
I can't remember who cleaned it. I don't think it was
I don't
me.
remember this story.
Yeah, this is
You must have cleaned it and never
this is a
brought it
deep-
up.
I remember he called me right after and
yes.
was furious.
I never heard this, so you must have cleaned it and then just bitched to Anthony.
And that's how it happened. Yeah. I had to. So,
The meat story is the one I was hoping you would go with.
well, because he brought up the milk story, there was. You also had a roommate at the time.
Yes,
we
I
had
did.
we had
And
commiserations.
right,
on-
that's why we would often complain about our respective roommates.
yes.
Which are all in the friend group. We're all
Yes.
like consistently seeing each other at this point.
Yes. So the milk, the ground beef was legendary moment. You know, Brian had purchased some ground chuck and utilized half of the beef. And normally, look, not a big deal. You utilize half the beef. Obviously, you want to freeze the remainder for future
Wrap it up, yeah.
utilization. Wrap up your meat. Something
Yeah.
I can recommend to everybody. Takes the ground beef. Does not transfer it to any bag or saran wrap or anything, and just puts it in the freezer.
just
Open, exposed ground
raw
chunk
meat.
in the fucking freezer.
it's cold, it's preserved.
Why would you do that?
Just cross-contamination city all day long.
Such an ass.
Did I put it on a lower shelf at least? Was it a lower rack?
Why did you think that was okay?
Why wouldn't it be? It's meat.
You're such an
It's
ass.
cold. It's a freezer.
You're so dumb.
Who are you, Bill the Butcher? Do you have fucking pigs hanging in your back room? Like, what the fuck is the matter with you?
Boy, no shit.
Do you remember when he told us he didn't know how to boil water?
Hysterical.
Yes.
No, he
Yeah.
knew how, but he
said it
takes
took
too
him
long.
like 40 minutes to
Yes,
boil
yeah.
water.
And I was like, Brian,
Yeah.
it should only
Like,
take
what are you doing?
5.
Do you remember that time?
He's got a sterno under a giant
No,
pot.
he puts it on a fucking flat top, and he just waits.
This other one is a good one. You remember this one? Hopefully. When we moved in together, we had like essentially nothing.
Yeah.
So we obviously had to buy a bunch of bullshit like pots, pans.
Yeah.
We bought a pasta pot that I actually still use. I don't know if it's the exact same one, but I still use the same model of pasta pot. One night, Brian was making pasta. I believe it was mac and cheese. I think it was like Velveeta
Sure.
or Kraft mac and cheese.
Velveeta probably.
Boil some water.
Too many ingredients for me
Yeah.
with the other.
So he makes the mac and cheese. He successfully is able to get the water hot enough
Amazing.
to actually cook the pasta.
Proud of
And
you.
Huge
then-
accomplishment.
Which is
Yeah.
something I was personally proud of him for being able to do. The way the pasta pot works is you take a lid, you tighten the lid, and then it has a strainer built into it, and you shred. You know where I'm going with the story?
Yes, yeah.
Because I remember you screaming and raging like a maniac for like 20 minutes. He finally gets this pasta. He goes, turns it over into the sink. The lid pops off. All the fucking Velveeta goes right into the sink. The whole Velveeta flops right into the sink.
His only life achievement ruined.
I was raging.
This whole dinner is gone. All in the sink. Dumps the whole friggin' thing of pasta, and he's just screaming. And like, look, me and Brian, when we lived together, it was just like two fucking like 25-year-old dudes or whatever. We used to walk around the house like fat dudes in our underwear. Walking around this fucking 2-bedroom apartment in Staten Island. And I'm like sitting on the couch, probably like playing like Chell or something, playing a game, and I just hear this guy who's probably like shirtless walking around the kitchen.
You guys were
screaming.
always in your underwear.
Yeah.
No, on the
Yeah.
way. It was really
It's hot.
homoerotic. It was homoerotic.
It was Alexander and fucking Feistin.
To be fair, I did tuck you in at night sometimes.
Did something the other night, which was good, and I needed that. I needed that.
I like
comfort
to
and
think that
warmth.
training is help prepare me for my daughter and like swaddling her. I get really good swaddles on the baby, and I'm like,
Yeah.
this is what I learned from Pat.
Do you love him? That's
Yeah.
Brian.
Swaddle a 240-pound man, you should be able to do a 9-pound baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's some. We had some trials and tribulations.
Do you remember? This is, I think, the last Thanksgiving we were living together. You were cooking Thanksgiving dinner. I was in the living room, and you and your girlfriend, you were cooking. And out of nowhere, you go "fuck," and you spilt gravy and turkey fat all over the entire kitchen floor, and it was going like everywhere.
Yes. I had like an 18-pound turkey in a brining bag. And I was brining the turkey. And the bag popped open from the bottom. And the turkey, along with like 20 gallons of brine water in this big ass. It was like a big garbage bag.
Like it's you two just learning how to live.
Pops open this completely poultry contaminated water. Gallons of it flows out all over our floors, all over the kitchen, all over the living room. It's just everywhere. It's just fucking contaminated poultry water all over the place. My turkey's fucked. The whole brine is wasted. Like my family is relying on me to be able to brine the turkey for Thanksgiving dinner. I ruined Thanksgiving dinner. I ruined our floors. Probably got salmonella from everyone. Probably got salmonella from that. You know.
And real quick, what was
What
the,
did you clean? Did you help?
No.
I didn't. I didn't even help.
Underwear,
No,
yeah.
I was like, oh man, that sucks.
Regular day.
He like put his legs up so his feet wouldn't touch the poultry water. And we just cleaned around him.
He wasn't trying it. He was giving a little taste.
No, yeah, he didn't. He didn't give it a try.
Oh fuck.
Holy crap. Well, we brought you here for a reason.
Yeah. So a year or two ago, like when we first started the show, you recommended the movie 6 Days to me.
Yes.
You were like, it's a pretty cool movie.
Yep.
And I was like, okay. And I kept it in my head. And, you know, we've been doing the show a while now. I was like, you know what? Let's get Pat on and expand the cast of the show.
Sure.
A guy we could pull on for all sorts of special events.
Yes.
Right.
I want you to be our Sunday Jeff. How does that feel? Tell him Steve Dave listeners will know.
I am.
Sounds like a no, but it's okay.
I don't know if I could fill the lofty shoes of a guy whose nickname is a day of the week. That seems to be
That's
beyond
true.
my capabilities as a man.
You are the P-Man, though.
I am the P-Man. I am the P-Man. Amongst many other nicknames I've had over the years, but P-Man is clearly one that's going to stick now from here on out.
So 6 days. So what made you watch 6 Days for the first time? What was it?
So I am, as you know, a collector and an aficionado of a certain thing that appears frequently in 6 Days.
Yes.
And I'm,
British people?
yes, I actually do collect British people. I'm kind of like the John Wayne Gacy of British serial killings. But I'm,
He has a tea party in his basement nightly.
He's
Yes.
Pat the Ripper.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So I heard that there was a lot of MP5s in 6 Days.
Yeah.
So I was, I'm going to watch this movie and watch all the MP5s. And,
That event kind of made the MP5.
Yeah, it actually was something that popularized, first of all, the SAS.
Right.
We'll get,
Yeah.
obviously get
Yeah.
into the movie, but
Yeah.
the SAS at this point in history was almost going to be eliminated. They
Well,
were
no one
actually
had
going-
ever heard of it. It
No.
was like
They didn't know what they did.
It was
Right.
a special
You know?
Air Force service.
yeah.
In
So
England,
they were never really used for anti-terrorists before then, as
No.
much as you'd think. It was kind of just like a special forces unit with nothing to do.
Yeah, and and kind of already getting into the history of this, into the late 70s, into the early 80s, was a heyday for Middle Eastern-based terrorist attacks in Europe, in mainland
Right.
Europe and in the UK.
Munich, which
Yep.
they mentioned
Yeah.
in the movie.
They do.
Back in the day, it was like you'd have somebody with a political grievance overseas that would then take their political grievance to the shores of powerful countries like France, Germany, the UK, and the United States and create a terrorist act. Back in the day, they did it the classic way, you know, kind of like
They
Die
kept-
Hard.
barbarians on the
They
borders
kept
of
it real.
Rome type of situation where you
Right.
had these outsiders coming in, creating chaos and havoc.
Yeah.
In the late 70s into the early 80s, this
Nowadays,
was-
the Goths have settled on the Rhine.
yes. One may say. One
There's a couple of listeners right now like, Goths, what?
yeah.
Burn down
Well, this is a
hot
history. Yeah.
topic.
Yeah, there was, a time where Bauhaus, Sisters of Mercy, The Cure, they all really just,
Just
started,
hanging out.
Yes.
really
Yeah.
just started penetrating deep into UK
Right.
society. And obviously that led to the crippling of British society. Yeah.
Those damn punks.
Yeah, a little known fact that Boris Johnson was actually a backup singer in Bauhaus.
Is that true?
No, not a little.
Okay.
But you could blame the Goths for everything. Yeah. Yeah. I know when I was in high school, I blamed the Goths for a lot of shit, mostly for my virginity.
Right.
Beyond that, it was mostly for that. But yeah, blame them for everything. But to the point I was making, I don't know where we went from my high school virginity to late 70s
That's perfect for this show.
Middle-
You're right on. You're right
Middle
on
Eastern
target.
terrorism. But there was a lot of
Goes
these
hand in
actions
hand.
happening in Europe, and Germany created the special forces to counter terrorism, GIGN. France created their special forces to fight terrorism, GSG-9. And the UK actually created a counterterrorism unit within the SAS. So to your point, the SAS was not, well, really, it was essentially useless at this point. But even in World War II, when the SAS had their first heyday,
I'm
They were
wondering
not-
why not use them in the Troubles more often, because that was going on same time
Yes.
as this, and almost on a constant basis of just small scale bombings and things.
Do you think it's one of those things? It's deploying a military group on your citizens makes it a little more tricky to pull the
True.
trigger.
True,
You know?
definitely
Probably,
true.
yeah.
But yeah, and like, how would you even use? It's not like the IRA was taking a lot of hostages.
Yeah.
Really, it was more like, I'm going to blow up this trash
Real
can.
quick things.
You know?
which, yeah, but I feel like there was certainly like mass scale police actions, and you can think of tons of scenarios in which during the Troubles, like large police actions occurred against the IRA,
Oh yeah.
resulting in British forces
Yeah.
killing Irish revolutionary forces.
Right.
So why wasn't the SAS using that? I think it probably goes back to where Brian said the optics of
Would be very
deploying
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like what is essentially the Air Force's special forces against domestic, technically what was citizens
Mm-hmm.
of Great Britain at the time. Optically, probably not so great. But one thing that did increase the optics of the SAS was what transpired in 6 days. That's
This
what
made
kind
them a
of-
household name where
Yes.
everybody knew what
Yeah.
they were.
Yes.
And real quick, just by a quick glance on Wikipedia, it said that they were involved in Northern Ireland.
Oh, okay.
So they did some shit, but it just, I guess, wasn't public knowledge.
Right.
We have an Irish listener who gets really mad if
Very
we
angry.
pass over any sort of like atrocity committed on the Irish. So I really wanted to make sure that I
He
said
knows.
that before he's like, these fucking bastards don't even know. They don't
was
even
good
know
the
what they were
last
doing
two.
to our people.
He was good the last two episodes.
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad.
How often do you cover movies that in some way, shape, or form involve the British oppressing the Irish? How many times?
At least
You know,
twice.
we did
it
it.
happens more often than you think.
Okay. It's a recurring theme.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
And a lot of things that we do connect to other parts of history that we have to bring up. So
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, this happened because of this, and
Yep.
it always kind of intertwines in some weird way more than you would expect.
No, well, that makes sense. And in this case, it certainly plays a factor into what transpires in this movie. With even like I said, this counterterrorism force being created within the SAS was a direct reaction to what was happening in France and Germany when they created their counterterrorism forces due to the same exact thing. You're looking at Middle Eastern terrorists coming into Europe and creating acts of terrorism. And I think kind of even going beyond that, in history to connect before that is where you kind of have to ask why were there so many Middle Eastern based political causes creating acts of terror in Europe. Really goes down to like, you got to realize at this time in history, late 70s and early 80s, this was barely 2 or 3 decades removed from when Europe pretty much divided
Right.
the Middle East based on random arbitrary political reasons.
Sykes-Picot.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And of course, obviously, what plays into this whole situation is very immediately before this, 79,
Yeah.
is the Islamic Revolution in Iran.
Yep.
I wanted to take that a little.
Okay.
So basically, you have the Ayatollah rising up, taking over Iran. Russians in Afghanistan, to quote Billy Joel. That was
Okay.
no, but you have the Ayatollah rising up, and in the movie, it's Arabs who are from Iran, which is, or they call them
They're
Persians.
an Arab majority, minority in
Yes.
Persian Iran.
So part of the reason they're aggrieved is because when the Ayatollah was rising up, they kind of helped him by slowing oil, like the traffic of oil that was going to the old regime. They were kind of allied with the Ayatollah, thinking that they'd be taken care of when he rose to power.
Well, the Ayatollah's a Shia and these guys are Sunni.
Yes, but they were rolling with him because they thought he would like give them their own little territory. And once he got his power,
Arabistan.
exactly.
They thought they'd become an independent nation in the aftermath of the revolution.
And once he got his power, he was like, "Fuck you guys! You have oil. I'm not giving you up."
Yeah.
So they were pissed, and that's kind of the terrorists' motivation in this movie.
Makes sense.
The whole revolution, if you guys want to talk about it for a minute, it's kind of interesting. So the dynasty that was replaced was only a few decades old. I think in 1928, the Shah did a military coup and took over the old government, which has only recently kind of lost ties with the British and all that, Persia.
Yeah.
His son is the guy who gets deposed when the Ayatollah comes to power. And the way that went down was essentially the people were like, the government of the Shah was very much autocratic. And, you had people living under dubious economical circumstances. There's a lot of oil money coming into the country, but it goes into the hands of very few people. Certainly there's communist influences happening, while at the same time, the Shah is all about imposing kind of Western culture onto the people, onto this Islamic group that don't necessarily like that or want it. And when the people rise up, a big reason they're doing it is because they hate this idea of
being Westernized.
Americanism infecting them. They see it as degenerate and backward. That's why it takes this religious hyper conservative Islamic
Extremism,
style.
Yeah.
The Ayatollah, the way their government now functions essentially is they have a republic. It's an Islamic republic, which is a new thing that they've invented. Because the Ayatollah doesn't like the idea of monarchy. So he wants to have a president and all that, but he, as the supreme religious leader in the country, has a veto on anything that the government does. So he has the final say on everything. So yeah, it's a bit of a monarchical religious, theocracy, but at the same time, they have elected officials and everything. So it's
But there is
an interesting state.
There's a guy with a final say, ultimately.
Yes.
You can do what you want up to a point.
And the Persian majority tends to treat the Arab minority poorly, at least in the view of these people that will now be committing acts of terrorism in London.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at the start of this.
Yeah, that's the background going into the movie,
And the start of the movie is, let's jump in.
Okay. It's April 30th,
1980.
1980.
Yeah. It's at the Iranian embassy, which at first I thought they went to the wrong embassy. Maybe they just couldn't read English or something. They meant to go to Israel embassy and kind of.
Oh, that was another thing that pissed off the local Iranians. They kept selling oil to the Israelis.
Yeah,
that really annoyed them.
So when it starts, I'm like, wait a minute. And you kind of get this like constant training montages and sequences where you see counter-terrorist training and it's never being used, And the SAS forces, I believe, were more so training for overseas engagements.
Well, they're getting
not
ready
so
for
much at home.
Falkland style shit.
Yeah, yeah.
They're getting ready for engagements like that.
Right. So they have to do this
where they would be used.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now they're doing this weird training that has to be done on such a higher level because they don't have years of this breaching and clearing.
Is that how the
kind of
movie
things.
starts? We start with them?
Well, no, the movie
starts
with
with
the
them going into the
terrorism
embassy.
terrorist storming it.
Right.
But
And-
you get it right after.
And based on what I saw in real life, of how the storming went, the movie's pretty accurate to
They
the
just
actual
pushed
storming.
into the front, right?
With them coming
Well-
in, right?
So that is actually one of the key arguments around the historical accuracy of the movie is apparently there is an article in which after the movie came out,
I have the
either
guy's name.
The Guardian or Daily Mail or something. Was it Daily Mail?
Daily Mail,
Daily
where they
Mail.
interview the guy.
They
One of
interviewed
the
a
rags.
sniper, one of the snipers of the SAS team.
Robin Horsfall, I believe.
So a guy who was not in the building.
He was not in the building. He was one of the snipers who actually shot and killed one of the terrorists. I think it was 6 terrorists.
Really?
One of the 5 that were killed. 6 terrorists. One of them survived. One of the 5 that were killed. One of the snipers that shot him came out in the Daily Mail in this article and said the whole movie's bullshit.
Nice.
That's
really railed against the
very
movie.
interesting because everything I watched about this and tried to read up on, I didn't hear that at all.
Yeah.
Like it was like they cleared the building from the inside. I didn't hear anything about a sniper shot.
No, so this is exactly what this sniper was saying was the movie portrays, if you watch when you watch the movie, the portrayal of the raid essentially is a team of 8 guys going breaking through the front door, raiding the building room to room, clearing it, and saving the hostages and eliminating 5 of the 6
Well, there's 2
terrorists.
groups. There's one that comes in from the roof and one that comes in through the windows.
Yes.
But the roof was a horrible. Well, we'll get into it.
Well, I will say the
Think
guy,
shit went awry.
the guy in the article did seem a little salty to me.
That he wasn't in
That
the movie.
he wasn't in the movie. He's like, there were 40 guys and like all these groups, and you only mentioned these dudes in the movie, and
That's-
fuck Rusty and all that. And a lot of it seems to me, it's like you're mad they didn't encompass everything when it's like
Well, I don't blame a guy for that. I mean, he's part of the operation.
it is, but it's also you got to realize it's a movie with a
Especially if he
limited.
killed someone.
It's a movie with it's a movie with a limited budget ultimately. You know,
And it's
They
a
got
movie.
Jamie Bell, Abraham Woodhull himself.
It's a movie. Like you don't want to have 40 main characters.
Well,
you know, like you
that's-
just you can't do that.
That's what this guy's concern was because he was saying people came in through the windows, through the front door, through the back door, through the roof, and there were snipers.
Yep.
And he also was concerned about, and one of the key things in the movie that kind of adds a little edge. And look, this is typical cinematography here. You want to build character, you want to build personality in a movie. So, like, there's a training scene where, if you remember in the movie, these 8 guys are like smoking cigs and like they kind of like do this quick. It almost looks like they had no idea what they were doing until they
Keeps messing up.
They put up this plywood, bunch of plywood walls and a random kill house.
Yeah.
And these guys like mess up and like
They,
and
they
this-
don't check
they
their
reenact
corners.
well, not
The
reenact.
layout.
They
they prepare for the layout.
Yes.
And they just every time they go in, he keeps forgetting to check his corners. He keeps forgetting to check his
Right.
sides, and it shows that they haven't been training for this for a
Yes.
while. It's all new to them, which you know, as you've seen, I think you've actually done a little bit of this kind of thing.
I
where-
have actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, if you go into a room and you don't have it set up where you're each taking each side, there's a good chance you're gonna get killed. So
Yeah.
the head guy, the colonel, they show him right off the gate. He's not the guy for this.
Yep.
Which was weird because of how the events unfolded. I don't know if that was the case
So,
in real life.
according
but-
to Robin Horsfall, the guy that like
sniper
spoke
guy.
out, the sniper,
Yeah.
he was basically like, it's ridiculous that Rusty Furman, Jamie Bell, is like the main character who gets put in charge of everything, and he was really pissed about that. He goes, and it made like leadership look incompetent, and like this guy was running the show. He's like, this guy wasn't running the show. He's just another one of like us
Guys,
fucking
yeah.
grunts, you know.
Yeah, so I watched an interview with a guy named
Is he the
Chalky
bald
White.
guy?
No.
Chalky White
Yeah.
from Boardwalk.
I know.
the most racist name.
Yeah. Where is it? What the fuck was his real name? Ian Chalky White, right?
Okay.
Ian. And he came off as like the real guy in charge of this whole thing, and it wasn't Jamie Bell's character.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know exactly what went on here.
So-
There's some conflicting information.
So, Jamie Bell's character in real life, he actually has a YouTube channel. I kind of want to reach out to him and see if we could do like an interview with him as like a bonus thing.
Oh man,
Just-
let's just talk about Turn.
Just to talk. No, not Jamie Bell.
Oh,
The real guy. Rusty Furman. That'd be awesome if we had Rusty on and you're just like, so what do you think about Turn?
it's Washington Spot.
Yeah. So he wrote a book, and the book was optioned into the movie.
Uh-huh.
So I think it's a lot of the things from his
Oh, and he made
perspective
himself the main character?
of- yeah,
that's
because it's
funny.
his
That's
fucking
funny.
book.
Uh-huh.
And I guess it's like if you're consulting and you're doing all this shit and they need a main character,
I want to be.
it's
the
going to
guy.
be you. You're going to be the guy. You know?
He's stealing the glory.
I guess
He's
so.
stealing the
Yeah.
glory, and this other people are pissed off.
Yeah.
Right.
because they're just like, you're gonna lead the squad now. I'm not a military guy. I'm not
Really?
an enforcement guy, but I could say with fairly good certainty that you're not promoting someone a day before a serious operation. It's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
You're not. It's not like, you know what, Pat, you're doing a good job
Doesn't make
today.
sense.
You're taking point. That ain't happening.
Didn't that happen already? I feel like that happened inadvertently.
It's just not how it goes, because the plan is very structured. It's very important who has what tech skills, and if you weren't put in charge at the beginning, you're not, unless your leader dies, it's not happening right then and there. It's just not.
And
So that was a little confusing.
And I think your hunch on that is correct. And I think the interview with the gentleman who was the sniper in the Daily Mail was kind of reiterating that fact as well, because he was pissed that they made it seem like they haven't been practicing for years for these types of situations.
Right.
According to him, they had done this type of practice and training like a million times.
Right.
Like they were
Yeah, of
100% ready to go, completely professional, none of the bullshit. In the movie, they make it kind of seem like they got to get a ragtag group of guys with the skills to do this.
Yeah.
Right.
And now they're like doing live fire training in a plywood building. Which
Same
in
day.
reality,
Day
same
home.
day.
Yeah. That never happened.
That
No
makes
doubt
sense.
about it.
No, that makes no
Live
sense.
rounds next to plywood. We lost another man.
Yeah. Now, getting into my specialty, which is the guns themselves, you have an MP5, 9mm round, full metal jacket, because you can't use hollow points because of maybe the Geneva Convention or some sort of other
Yeah, I think
similar
so.
type of thing. But hollow points are illegal to use in military engagements against third parties in international law.
Is it for tracing, maybe?
Well, they think so. There is this misconception that hollow points is somehow more painful and fatal.
Oh, I
than full
see.
metal
They break
jackets.
apart within
Yeah,
the body.
I thought it was more so for tracing who got what, who killed who, and shit like that.
No, because you could put tracing rounds into hollow point
Okay.
bullets as well. But in reality, if you're in a building that's plywood, that's actually made of plywood, and you're using 9mm, which is a round that already overpenetrates compared to other rounds because of the low velocity, and you're using full metal jacket bullets, which you have to use based on convention law, you know what would happen? The bullets would be going through these walls like Swiss cheese, and all the hostages would be getting killed every time. The bullets would literally just be blasting through the walls. That's what would happen. So it makes no sense they're doing live fire training
Silencers.
In
to make them even faster.
in the cardboard
in
fucking
a cardboard
mock-up.
box. Essentially, the mock-up.
Yeah.
And what most
Makes no
people
sense.
think oh, you put a silencer on, it's gonna slow the bullet down. That's the exact opposite.
Well,
in
people
most
see
cases.
a movie and they see a silencer and they think it's like, pew, like
Yeah.
a Bond
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
It's
that
like,
also
that's not
made me
how
very
it happens.
upset
No,
when they
yeah.
do that scene too. But
Like,
to your point, not only that, then you attach a silencer. Now it's going
Yeah.
through 2 walls instead of 1.
yeah, it's like, it makes no sense. But it's a movie, and
It's fun to watch.
it's fun to watch.
Oh, yeah.
And is there some point
There's a good amount of reality, especially the actual
Right.
raid itself.
yeah.
You know what I did I got to give the movie credit for, and I found pretty interesting. They had 6 days to prepare for this whole thing. The SAS were on the scene day 1.
Yep.
They had enough time. The negotiators and everything bought these guys enough time where they were able to memorize the faces and names of everyone
Yep.
in there.
Yeah.
They knew these guys, when they went into the building, knew every person in that building by name.
And they show that in the movie
right.
later.
Yeah.
So early in the movie, after the terrorists take over and we see, Rusty Furman training and all that, we're introduced to Max Vernon, played by Mark Strong.
I think we should point out though, because it does come into play, is the cop. They're there's 26
Trevor
hostages.
Jones.
One of them is an
officer.
police
Yeah.
officer.
Trevor Jones, I believe.
He has a gun,
Yes.
which is the most embarrassing police department in the world, the London Police. Very
Sorry,
rare
UK.
for them. Very
We got
strange.
a lot of UK listeners.
I don't
Sorry,
give a
guys.
shit. Their police department is a laughing stock.
Well, I think-
Look at them.
Can we just say
They need more guns.
the Uvalde, Texas Police Department may give
Oh, you're right.
may
You're
actually
right.
have superseded that. They are probably the worst police department on the planet. So let's give a little break to the London.
right. You're right.
Uvalde's police department. We're gonna give them the top honors of most disgraceful police force.
So this guy does.
What about
have
the
a gun.
fucking the Florida dudes too?
Well, okay, so from my knowledge with the Florida dudes, that was more like the cowardice of 1 or 2 guys.
Okay.
When
Yeah.
Uvalde was the whole
the
police
entire
force. The whole-
police force just have no problem with letting children be murdered.
Yeah. and in
And
other
stopping other people from stepping up.
and a
Can't believe I'm
police
laughing at
officer-
this. It's so
a
dark.
police officer who was actually his own wife was killed there, and he still
Holy
didn't
shit.
step up in Uvalde.
Yeah.
So, just to walk back to London being the worst.
You're right. London, you're all right.
You have an excuse. You're unarmed.
Well, this guy was armed in the building.
Yeah.
And he gets overtaken in the movie immediately. I don't know if that's what happened. In real life.
That's exactly what happened.
So I can't imagine having 6 guys pointing guns at you and just being like, well, maybe I'll get one. It's like,
he played it
he
perfect.
did it right.
He played it great.
He did it
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
This guy's a
100%.
hero.
Yeah.
Chuck just walked in.
So he hides his gun, but he also had a radio with him, police radio.
Yeah.
And that particular radio has a panic button on it that if you
Yup.
press it, it alerts the authorities. Now, I don't think they show this in the movie, right?
I know they didn't.
So the
His
police,
quick actions.
yes, almost immediately the terrorist will take his radio from him.
Yup.
And he won't have access, but he hits the button before anything goes down. So immediately
Sends out a signal.
the police are notified that something's going down. They don't know exactly what it is, but they'll find out.
Yeah. And that's the next scene really is news is spreading.
Yes.
Day 2, news is spreading. We have reporters on
We're on day 2
that is-
already?
Well, we got to talk
Yeah.
about the negotiator. Max
Max
Vernon,
Yeah.
played by Mark Strong, who's usually a bad guy in everything.
What do I know him from? I was like scrolling through IMDb for like 30 minutes. And I'm like, how do I know this
He
guy?
was in that badass
Kings-
movie.
He's in the Kingsman.
He's in the Kingsman.
Oh.
Not the one you saw.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The modern
Yeah.
version.
Okay.
Yeah. But he's in those. He's usually a bad guy in everything. He's a character actor. He's in a million
Oh, yeah.
things.
He's great in this.
Supposedly, according to the guy who bitched in the mail, he said he was the one aspect of the movie they got 100% right.
Mm-hmm.
Dude's a hero in real life.
He definitely saved lives by stalling and delaying
Yeah.
like he
Yeah.
did.
He did a great job in the movie and in real life. I'm assuming if they got it right and this is accurately portrayed, he's the chief inspector. He hits the scene and it's his job to figure out what the hell is going on. You know?
Was he bald in real life?
No.
Was
I
Max
saw a
Vernon-
video of him. No, I don't think so.
Why can't a movie get that right? This is so
But you know what they
easy to get right.
Do you know what they did get right? The like hostage guy with the glasses and the mop top.
Yeah.
That's a
He looked like-
he's like a BBC guy.
So they
He
got
looked just like that
he
guy.
looked just like that.
I'll double check.
They couldn't get Max Vernon. They couldn't get there's not a single fucking British actor with hair. They had to get the one bald British actor.
They should have gave him a really bad toupee.
Like this just makes movies to me. Movies are a joke when you can't even get a dude with hair to act as a dude with hair. It's like so. This is look. Let's just bring it down to the base level for a second. I'm a guy with hair. I'm doing something heroic. I'm doing something important. If they're making a movie, I am a guy with hair, and I actually do shit that's heroic and important every single day. But
If you portray Pat in a movie, he better have a full head of beautiful locks.
37 years later, they make a movie about me. And they make me fucking bald. It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. Like, the one that you couldn't give me fucking hair? Like,
That's his
why can't
problem.
movies-
Everyone will think you got plugs.
Oh, well, if you think my problem is the guy being bald, wait until we talk about the inconsistencies of the MP5s. Wait till we get to that. Because that's when I'm going to...
Go right ahead. What do you got?
Well, let's wait till
After I get to that, I
Okay.
mic drop and I walk out.
So this is the
So,
the Democratic Revolutionary Front of some country. I can't pronounce it.
Arabistan.
Arabistan.
Arabistan. Okay.
It's not a real country.
Yes. They want to be.
It's a
But they're-
potential country.
Could have been.
Their plan sucks. From any standpoint.
They-
like, what the hell are you doing?
They're
plan-
propped up by Iraq, too.
Yes. So their plan really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to us in sitting, with hindsight. I don't think it would have made a lot of sense back then either. Essentially, they want to go in there, hold a bunch of people hostage, and then somehow this is going to make the British government
Side with them.
get the Iranians
To
to
release
give them
prisoners.
well, not even that. At first,
Yeah.
that's the second. That's objective 2.
Yeah.
Objective 1 is to get the British to be like, you know what, Arabistan needs to exist.
Give them a
You
say.
know?
Right, like you would think maybe
Right.
in a non-violent way it would make sense. It would take a little more time, obviously, but it's like we're gonna kill everyone if you don't make us a country.
Yeah.
But they have no power to do it. They don't like.
Right. So that quickly they realize that's a bit too lofty. And they switch it to get some of their
friends.
nationalist prisoners out of prison in Iran, and the Iranians don't give a shit. They're like,
No.
kill these people. We
Yeah,
don't care.
yeah.
And it's their own people. Like, we should point out most of the people in the building are Iranian.
Well,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
the embassy.
Yeah.
So
The Iranian government's take on the whole thing was like, well, they will be martyrs to the cause.
Yes.
yeah.
You know?
It will give us reason to go in there and fuck up
Right.
Arabistan.
Yeah.
The BBC guy was there because he was there to get a visa because he was getting ready to travel to Iran to cover like an event.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, why he was there, and he ends up getting
He
taken
just happened to
hostage.
have some bad
The
timing.
worst timing of
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
So the terrorists, they called the BBC.
Yeah.
So they're like the rule of law, and they're like, when is the SAS going to take over?
Mhm.
And
Well,
they're
yeah.
like, they came in as cleaners, they're armed to the teeth and all this, and it cuts to day 2. And now Mark Strong is like getting ready, so is the SAS, and the terrorists call him up and they have like a phone call. And they're listing out their demands.
Oh, you know about the phone?
Yes.
I don't know if they show this in the movie, but the authorities will cut all of the phones to the
Mhm.
building, so they don't work.
No.
So they give them a phone.
It's a direct line. To
That's
them.
a direct line to them. Now, the other thing about this phone is it's listening to everything they do.
Yep.
Even when
Yes.
it's hung up, it's recording them.
They say that in
Yeah.
the movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
Common
there's
tactic.
a moment in the movie where they show the guys drilling holes in the building to try
Yeah.
and put microphones in it.
Yes.
cameras.
Cameras, all that stuff. What they would do is redirect the air
Heathrow
traffic
Airport.
over the airport to like fly over the
Yep.
building and make noise to
You can't
cover
hear
them.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
pretty
brilliant.
impressive.
Yeah,
It was a
it's
That's
really-
using all of the like power of the state.
everything they could
You
do.
know? Yeah.
You know, like every little distraction that they could do. So now we're at the point where Mark Strong is like, "Let me bring you food, but you gotta like send us a civilian." So you hear like gunshots, and then they let one guy go,
The sick guy.
the sick guy, and you kind of think he's shot, and he's not. And they bring them food, and at the end of the movie, they show the footage, and it looks pretty similar.
Mhm.
At this time, while they're having negotiations, you have the SAS stacked on the door, ready to breach. The entire time all these negotiations are happening, they're just waiting for the
Yeah.
go.
They're waiting for the call. Yeah. They can't take like it's in the hands of the regular London police until someone gets killed. If somebody gets killed, then there is no peaceful solution. Everyone's trying to find a non-violent solution to this whole thing.
And according to Rusty, he's like, there was never this like bureaucratic gridlock like you see in the movie.
Yeah.
I used to know a horse named Rusty.
Oh yeah, Rusty, I
yeah.
know him.
Oh,
My friend, like, he was working for a little bit as a cab,
Handsome cab.
handsome cab in New York, and he fed the horse baked beans. And as he was giving
That was
his
beefarino.
beefarino, you're right, yeah, it was beefarino. And as he was riding the horse around,
I knew
the
it
horse
immediately.
started farting a lot, and it let out a foul stench. Do you know what we're talking about?
Pat, how do you like Seinfeld?
Oh,
You don't like it, right?
I don't waste my time with TV. I'm a high value individual.
That was the worst high five of all time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's because I got the fucked up
He's
back.
hurt. He's hurt.
That's why I can't overextend.
Because everyone that comes on here is like, yeah, I like Seinfeld, except me. I'm like
Yeah,
the only
you
one.
don't
Oh, get him as beefarino.
Oh, come on.
Oh, here we go.
Beefarino.
Dinner is
Honey
served.
Chipotle.
Rusty's gonna be eating good.
Yeah, every episode he brings Seinfeld up,
Yeah.
no matter what.
Really? Is this like something
Every
you
time.
need to do? Is
Every time.
Is this like some impulsive thing
It's just to
driven by
upset
autism?
me. It's just to upset me.
It's just to upset. So that makes it less autistic then. Okay.
That's gonna be my autobiography, driven by autism.
The story of Brian Rupert,
Yeah.
driven by autism. You didn't mention yet the woman who's the BBC reporter.
Yeah, we kind of left her out
Because she's
she's a real
critical-
person.
She's a critical part of the movie, even though I don't know why she really needs to be hit on so like they need to keep hitting her up in the movie. But it
Because
was,
they
want a
needed to
female
cut out
role.
that sniper, so they needed to fill
Yes,
that with something.
well, but that's true actually. That one sniper, that one guy. What was his name again? Let's give him
Robin
Let's
Horsfall.
give him a little credit because he deserves
Robin
it.
Horsefuck? What?
Yeah,
But so on the flip side, because you got the sniper who says it's all bullshit.
Right.
When she was interviewed, she said the portrayal was incredibly accurate.
Yeah.
That everything that they portrayed her was accurate. That the raid was accurate. She said the movie was incredibly
And she
accurate.
was on the scene.
She was
you
on the
know?
scene for
But
all
she's
this.
also
Yeah.
a reporter.
So, but what she's seeing,
Are we going to trust the mainstream media?
Exactly.
you're gonna buy the government line
Isn't
on
it
that?
great? Like, you got the couple of scenes with her outside with the other guy who's
Yeah.
like a disreputable journalist.
Yes.
And
Yes.
she's like all about standards and the truth.
right.
You know,
Yeah.
I never believed something less in my life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The BBC reporter is the authoritative voice on reason
Yes.
and actuality. The other guy is essentially Alex Jones Infowars. And that's how
Yeah.
it's being portrayed.
Yeah.
And we could all agree that is probably a
I
big
actually think
fucking
he's
shit.
the Daily Mail.
So
He probably is. The
Considering
Guardian,
when
maybe?
this came out, this was 2017. That's about the time it was happening.
Mhm.
That the height of the Alex Jones shit.
Yeah.
Well, I think
You know.
it's the movie. You know, they want to make sure they have a female lead.
Well, she was real, and
She is real.
After this happened, I believe she became like a huge
Yes.
Yeah.
person in the UK
Because of this story.
because of this. Yeah.
This was her Chris
Her big
Hansen
break,
and To
yeah.
Catch a Predator moment.
Yeah. Which makes sense. It makes sense.
I would have
why
said
she's in it.
Geraldo at the Willowbrook.
Yes.
But
Well,
sure, Chris Hansen at To Catch a Predator. Yeah.
Well, that's why we all know
Is this,
and love
is
him.
this your first time?
this is the first time.
Have a seat. Would you like some lemonade?
Cookies taste pretty good, don't they?
So you were going to ask a child for sex.
What exactly did you mean by this?
What did you mean by that?
Anthony met Chris in person 3 times.
How are the cookies?
It says here you do a
Yeah.
podcast. What do you talk about on there?
Girl sweating.
Oh no, it's a history show. All right, I'm gonna leave now.
Before you leave, can you just answer this? You said, I want you to suck my dick. What did you mean by that? Anthony, what did you mean by that?
Did you know she was a child? Did you know she was a 14-year-old?
What am I supposed to make of this, Anthony?
I can't play with this the way I want because of my job.
Yeah.
So we actually we see that the inspector gets the food. He speaks to them, and the terrorists say they need Arab ambassadors, 2 buses to get to the airport. They have 24 hours, and the inspector's like, "Just give me 48."
Yep.
Now, once it's like you ask for buses and transportation, you already lost. It's just a matter of
They're
time.
on the dog day afternoon plan.
I was going to say.
It's over. at
You know,
that point.
Sonny's getting shot in the head within like 15
Yup.
seconds
Yeah.
after you ask for the buses. Like, that's it. Sonny's dead.
Situations-
They
Sonny's
said
done.
they said there were 2 homosexuals. I'm not a homosexual.
Has any hostage situation ever worked out for like the hostage takers? Off the top of my head, it seems
No.
like they always get
I
blown
believe
away.
once, and the guy was never caught.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there was like money on a plane or
Are you
something.
thinking of DB Cooper?
I don't know.
And the money he took.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that my
Kid
am
Rock
I
referenced him in
correct?
the song. That's the
Am I
only reason I
correct?
know him.
Yeah, like
He jumped out of the plane.
He jumped out of the plane
with
with
a
a parachute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was like the only.
But I don't know if he took hostages. I thought he robbed a bank and just
No,
made a
they were
getaway.
hostages. I think.
There were?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
think so, yeah,
So he's like the only one. Because like I
I
know
would
the
assume
Stockholm
so.
people got killed.
yeah.
Sonny in
Sonny.
well, he didn't get killed. He got busted.
Mm. John Brown. He didn't make it.
John Brown's Evolution?
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Brown's body.
It's rolling in his grave.
Jeez. Now we're kicking it back to like 1810. You guys go real deep on this.
Oh, yeah. So, where are we? All right. So they say this is never paid off either. But the terrorists are like, we have the embassy wired to blow with a doomsday device.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that's a lie. But
That-
they know they have frag grenades.
Yeah, they do have grenades, but they do
Russian.
not have like a nuclear device or anything like that.
No.
So we see the British now. They're cutting brick, like
Cocaine?
Yeah, they're cutting bricks. Well, they're drilling through the bricks trying to put like a pen camera through
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Well,
we
they
saw
also realize that it's no longer just breach and clear.
Mhm.
Once they find out they have grenades, now it's like, okay, some of the doors might have them. We need other angles of entry, which is why they start formulating different plans, and maybe that we'll take them out of the bus and we'll raid the bus and stuff. I'm skipping ahead a little, but
No, you're right on with the bus.
because they have those grenades, it becomes a bigger issue. So now they're looking to see with the cameras, okay, where are the hostages? located, where the terrorist points, and they start mapping it out a little bit more effective than what they were doing before.
Yeah,
You know?
and like every time they're getting a little bit better, like smashing
Right.
and getting on the bus.
Right.
And I know there was like a terrorist attack at the Munich Olympics like a couple of years or months earlier, but I'm not super familiar with how it happened. But there was something involving a bus, I'm guessing, based on what happened in the movie.
Yeah.
Do you guys know?
I think it was, yeah. I think
Okay.
there was a terrorist attack at the Munich Olympics, and the GIGN was involved, which is the German version of their counter-terrorist force. And I believe the terrorists, I don't know if they demanded a bus. They may have actually like carjacked the bus, if I recall correctly. But there definitely was like a bus involved in that terrorist action, and that was like one of the big like events that occurred that was like eye-opening to the West, that Middle Eastern-based terrorists with political causes were going to come into Europe and begin to massacre people.
Yeah.
So Munich was like one of the big ones, and something happened in France as well.
So counter-terrorists win.
Yes, exactly. Like essentially, if it wasn't for these incidences, Counter-Strike would not have existed.
Right, yeah.
And I don't know how many more
love it.
hours I could have spent jerking off instead of playing Counter-Strike, but I probably would have busted hundreds of more nights.
I'm not gonna lie. I watched this movie. I played Counter-Strike the last 2 days because
Did you?
Did you?
I got back into the groove. I was like, oh, this is good.
So there's a talk with a bunch of government heads, and they're saying that Margaret Thatcher, the prime minister at the time,
The Iron Lady.
yes, they're saying that she was a little soft on the troubles,
Uh-huh.
and she doesn't want to be perceived soft on this.
Right.
I
Well, they don't want England and well, I should say the UK to be seen as a soft target for terrorism. Like you can just come here and fuck around. They need to show that
Dead
they're not
or
going to
arrested.
tolerate this
Yep.
shit.
Either
There's no
arrest them or kill them.
These guys are not getting out.
no.
The government has decided you're done.
Which is why the BBC's presence on the scene from day one was incredibly important to the
Right.
kind of the propaganda.
They're
publicity
showing the
elements.
world what's going
Yes.
on. Yeah.
Like this is one of the first times I think, if not the first time, a situation like this was played out on TV from beginning to end. And skipping forward to the raid itself, like they actually cut into live TV,
Yeah.
and to show the raid in real time, in live
With
action.
explosions and fire
Yes.
and
Yeah.
all that.
And I think this
On
was probably
fire.
the first time that had happened on TV.
Did you
but-
guys watch the real footage?
I watched some of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks fucking cool. I was watching it.
Yeah, it's like nothing.
It's a
people
real
had seen
battle.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that is when you have this time period, like when you say they cut the phone lines, once you cut those lines, you could also cut access to the TV. So you could stream currently, like in this time period, what's happening outside without the worry of the people inside seeing it. Whereas like nowadays, if you did that,
Oh yeah.
they're going to be on the internet and be like, oh shit, they're right here, and put a bullet through the wall, you know?
Yeah, there's so many.
It's such a different time period with this happening that
Still analog.
These tactics would have been completely different and changed.
I'm
nowadays,
sure,
you
yeah.
know?
Well, we're seeing it in Ukraine with the Russian-Ukraine
Right,
conflict,
exactly.
where there has been
Drones.
tons of stories of
Posting a picture
mostly
on Reddit, you get
yes,
bombed.
Yes, like
Yeah.
Russian soldiers who are on their phones, on the internet, like literally posting on 4chan of like them just hanging out in their barracks.
Zoomer's going to zoom.
And then exactly, they, these Zoomers can't control themselves.
Same
They're
thing with
savage
the,
animals, and they can't control
there
themselves.
was a Ukrainian regiment where they were staying in a school, and they posted a picture on Reddit like, "Oh, look, Ukraine is holding the school down." Russia saw what school it was and just bombed it and killed like 20 people.
Yeah.
And it's like, you couldn't just not post it.
You gotta let everyone know.
What are you doing?
It's like, do you remember Geraldo, like bringing it back to him when he showed like the
He opened-
diagram of where they
Yeah.
were?
Was it him?
It was him. Yeah, he drew it like
in Desert
the
Storm.
sand.
He
Yeah.
drew the operation that was happening in the sand on live television.
Yes,
Yeah.
and people were like, "What the fuck?"
So when I was watching this as the operation's happening, I'm like, why aren't they just have the TV on inside? And then it hit me. It's like, oh, they cut the fucking line.
Yeah.
That makes way more sense. My modern stupid mind
Cut
can't
the power.
contemplated it first. Yeah.
We're dealing with professionals here.
So they find like this skylight, and they're like,
Isn't that the guy whose camper they were whacking?
You're a federal agent.
Never end a sentence with a proposition.
so they find like this skylight, and they're like debating about going in there. The government says no, and it's day 4 now. The place is a fortress. The terrorists say they're going to kill today. The Arab ambassadors refuse to help them.
Yes.
They won't.
They wanted Arab ambassadors to come and negotiate for
Yes.
them. Yeah.
They're like, no.
They're alone.
Yep.
Yeah, they're,
It's
you're on
just
your own.
them and the guns Saddam sent them.
Yep. So they call Mark, and he's the
Wahlberg?
Yeah, they call Mark Wahlberg.
Do you
Walking
think the
off.
movie portrays the terrorist a little bit sympathetic?
Yes, they tried to do that. Well, at least the main guy.
I feel like it's probably kind of accurate for the most part.
I think it is.
They were
You
letting
know?
hostages go.
Right.
Yeah,
I feel
like,
like most of these movies with these hostage situations almost always portray the terrorist as somewhat sympathetic. Dog
I don't
Day
think
Afternoon-
Hans Gruber was sympathetic.
yes,
but-
he's very sympathetic. You love him.
Well, that's just because he's so cool.
Yeah. But there's always
I thought you were one of them.
oh God. I'm Bill Clay.
Right.
Well, like if you think of like Dog Day Afternoon, they like the protagonists of the movie are actually the friggin'
right. Attica.
There's always one hothead and one like calm guy.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got to
know?
get rid of the wild card. That was like in this terrorist group. If they just didn't have that wild card guy, they probably would have got out in better situation.
There was no making it out alive, really.
not when
Actually, that's a good question. If all those hostages get released and they send their message on the BBC and they go to jail for X amount of time, do you think they would have been released just
Yes,
on the good
because
graces?
one that lived got out in 2008.
yeah, he's already
Right.
out.
So yeah,
Like,
they
what a
would.
did he?
horror.
Yeah, he
yeah.
got paroled. So if
That's
they
what I mean.
let if
no
they
wild card, you make it.
if they let everybody out and they threw down their guns and
Way
surrendered,
more sympathy.
yeah, they're probably not dead,
Right.
Yeah.
but they're gonna be in prison
But you
for
had that,
a long
you had
fucking
that
time.
fucking wild card who was just like, I want to kill someone.
And going back to what you said, Anthony, was I think it was Ann who said it, like the British didn't want to come off looking weak in this scenario.
Right.
Yeah.
That was part of, I think, the reason why they took the approach that they had taken here was because having the troubles already happening with tons of domestic terrorism in Ireland.
Munich.
And then what's happening now in the rest of Europe,
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to come across, Thatcher needed to come across with a show of strength. And then, look, I'm sure the Falklands, when did the Falklands?
They happened
After
after
this.
this.
Right after, but
Yeah.
82 it started.
Yeah.
So I'm sure at this point they're already gearing up for that conflict
Yeah.
in the Falklands or for Argentina. And they're thinking this is a chess game. And they're thinking steps ahead to the point where like
I'm surprised Roger Waters didn't write an album about this. You know?
he really should have. Yeah.
That's what his remake of Dark Side of the Moon's gonna be about.
Why is
The
he doing that?
lunatics.
Do you know about this?
are in
No.
the embassy.
Roger Waters is re-recording all of Dark Side of the Moon and putting it out as a new album.
Why?
I don't know.
Because he'll make $1 billion.
Dark Side of the Moon, back to the well.
It ain't making $1 billion. Like no one cares about this.
Yeah.
They're gonna play. They like the original one.
Yeah,
You know?
but you know he'll make
Now without David Gilmour.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
With worse guitar.
Yeah.
Worse
make
guitar
money.
and worse
Worse vocals.
vocals because this guy's 40 fucking years old later.
And Waters was never the best singer.
Oh, you
I
don't
think
like
he's
whining?
fine.
But he's not Gilmour. Gilmour has a better voice.
You don't
That's
like
debatable.
you don't
Really?
Like
You don't
Yeah, I
think
think
so?
so. They're both good. There's no.
See,
I have no
I
problem.
think
with
of Waters more as almost like screaming.
Yeah, he's the whiny guy.
Yeah. And I think Gilmour is like,
Why are you running away?
So they bring the plan to Thatcher where it's like, we're gonna do the bus thing, and they're like, you're not doing the bus thing.
Yep.
And they go back to a stronghold raid, and they're like, all right, we're gonna use the window that they mentioned before, and they're gonna use rappelling from the roof. They're gonna hit from all angles. That's the plan now. And they make it known. These guys are either leaving, they're going into prison or a box, one or the other. There's no other way out of
It's
this.
the only way out.
Yeah, like you said, show strength so
strength.
that never happens.
It's like
again.
the Bloods.
only way out is
Which
in a box.
In hindsight, I don't know if that worked. Aggression is good, but control is the key. That was the
Yep.
Fear is the
Nice little
mind
line.
killer.
Dune. Hand in the box.
Yeah.
and they show like a brief example of the head of the operation like talking to whoever in that room was, the office, about what they're gonna do, and you see this stupid scene where like the guys are breaking in, like sneaking in, and it's dark, they're all sleeping, and they shoot the guys in the chairs.
Yeah.
And they're like, they look back there like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, why is everyone
Like,
sleeping?
well, it was a made up.
Yeah,
scenario.
right.
Yeah.
You know, it's like this isn't how it's gonna work. It's gonna be a bloodbath.
Like
The
that.
dumbest scenario ever.
That's
Yeah.
like
never gonna
fake
happen.
movie shit.
Right,
Yeah,
You know.
Right.
Which I loved with that they put that in here because it's like, no, like
We
we're
have a
talking
plan.
real, you know.
We're
Like,
gonna James Bond them.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So the British raid the Iraqi guy who supplied them with all the guns and shit, but he's already left the country to go back to Iraq.
Yeah, he's gone.
What was the
Um,
value of having that in the movie?
None.
Just to, I think, just to show
Just
that
to
it
show
happened.
the Iraqi connection.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And that they're still
Someday
out there.
we'll find
Yes.
it. The Iraqi connection. The terrorist.
The WMDs.
And me. La-di-da-da. Kermit with a beard and a turban.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
The banner.
The
Banner,
banner.
the banner.
Why the banner?
I think I put us in that picture.
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Oh, you know what I thought was really cool, and this actually happened, as far as I know.
Genocide?
Some certain snipers might disagree. No, not genocide. The caretaker.
This is real.
Yeah, they find
yeah.
him, and he straightens them all out
Yep.
because they were gonna attack from the first floor,
Mhm.
which would have been a problem because something.
They mapped out the room
Right.
incorrectly.
Right. They were going to be this is what it was.
They thought
The
door was
windows are
open,
actually
so-
armored on the first
Yup.
floor. They
They
wouldn't have been able to
got
get through.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know how they didn't know that from like blueprints and stuff, but
They updated the building probably.
the caretaker filled them in, and then they came up with the plan to attack from the above floors.
as well as the front. They still breached the
Yeah.
front.
Yeah.
You know.
So they put the terrorists on with the BBC to buy more time.
Mhm.
And, you know, the terrorists are very happy by this
They get to spout off their
manifesto.
right.
Well, that was the one thing. If you have to look at all their demands, that was the one that actually had an impact and value, because they went from
They got to inform people about the plight of Arabistan.
What's happening?
yeah, and at the end of the day, no one in the world gave a fuck or knew about it or even cared about it. But
Right.
after that moment, there were
Yeah.
maybe one person who gave a fuck and cared about it, which is more than zero. So like,
It's me. I'm the guy. We need to fight for Arabistan.
yeah,
Let's go take over the Denny's.
Yeah, I'm just.
That'll show them.
But like, if you have to look at because we made the comment before about what is the point of doing these hostage scenarios when you always get killed, you never get what you want, and no positive.
Well, they
change
didn't have the hindsight to see the movies.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Dog Day Afternoon hadn't come out yet.
Yeah, but
Actually, I think it did.
shit like
Really?
this
1970?
was happening.
Oh, no.
This is
yeah,
80.
Yeah, you're
This is
right.
80.
This is 80.
Yeah.
It is out.
By the way, London, 1980, we didn't see one punk guy walking around
No.
in this whole movie. Where
Well,
was
the whole London is really just one street
Yeah.
that they had access to. Which, by the way, whatever
Still, you could have put somebody in the crowd with a fucking mohawk.
Yeah.
whatever they use looks good.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
one punk. He's like,
Yeah.
"Death to the Queen."
Where's the Sex Pistols guy?
So the UK refuses to let the Arabs escort them out. Apparently they were going to escort them out on the bus, and they're like, no, they're going to kill them. That's their goal.
Yes.
And
It's
now
a much better movie.
Let's
Thank
get to
God
day
they took that
six.
choice.
now the egregious part. Sergeant is stands up for the corporal and says he's going to lead it.
Yep.
You didn't like that? You think it's
No, I
fake?
mentioned it. Yeah,
no
I
one
don't
believes that.
think that happened. That wouldn't happen.
Yeah, I don't think Rusty was really.
Now, let's say
in
the operation
charge.
happens and maybe there was some situation where a guy goes down, he takes point, and then they promote him after. Makes way more sense.
When
Not-
you write
not
the book,
immediately.
you control the narrative.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
He who controls the spice.
Spice melange.
So the Iranian government goes like to the UK. They're like, just go in and kill them already.
Mm.
Like the Iranian government.
Yeah, the
wants-
Iranians don't give a fuck.
They're like, just kill them. We don't care. So now the terrorists are kind of getting ready to fight. Trevor Locke, that's the
cop.
the cop. He calls them and like, you know, they're just trying to delay basically. And now we get to a standoff where the terrorists kill one dude in the building.
Yes.
And once they kill this dude, now
And he's like a zealot for the Islamic Republic.
yes,
Yeah,
He
yeah.
loves it.
Yeah.
He's just like, I'll be happy to die if it gets you
Yes.
killed.
yes. 'Cause once I die, I know
Yeah.
shit's gonna pop
You're
off.
all
Right.
dead. Yeah.
So one of the terrorists is like, "Don't kill him, don't kill him," and he's
The
like,
leader,
"Fuck
Salim.
this."
Yeah.
Salim is like,
Salim,
don't
yeah.
do it. Yeah. And this is when I made a note. I'm curious
He's
why
the real
there's no
Salim
snipers
Shady.
present.
Yeah.
I made that note without knowing that the sniper was pissed about it.
Apparently, they
'Cause why isn't there just a ton?
had to cut the sniper out.
Yeah, no, not a
Rusty
single one.
was pissed
Not
at
a
the
single
existence
one.
of the snipers.
You think there's no snipers looking into those windows? You're stupid.
Oh,
They just had a no.
the other thing, the
No-
guy was
no
pissed
scopes
that
allowed.
basically everybody in the
360 no
SAS,
scope only. 360 no scope only.
but
Swordsmen don't like archers. Those guys are too far away.
everybody in the SAS, by the way, is like a working class Scottish guy,
Yes, I noticed that.
which is he was pissed about.
The
What?
Daily Mail interview
Yes.
with the sniper, he was fucking furious.
Everyone's Scottish.
Yes.
Yeah.
He literally points out in the interview that one of the biggest things that drew his ire was these were a bunch of sophisticated professionals. None of us had stupid, silly Scottish accents.
Yes.
Directly from the
Yes.
interview with this guy. And
The-
that is
We may
The
be
British-
many things, but we won't be fucking Scots.
We're not. We are posh. We are aristocrats.
He was
Posh
very
British accent.
pissed about it.
very
That
pissed
guy.
about that. Yeah. Which I would put that as far as like egregious things that fuck up your representation. That's like a half a step below being bald. So I still think being bald is worse, but that's freaking close, man.
All right.
That sucks.
So then shit kicks off, right?
Yeah, so they call Max Vernon, like the SAS or the government. They're like, you need to just distract them for like 30 minutes.
Well, he wants them on the phone with him when the operation
Yes.
begins, just because.
So there's real footage, by the way, of the guy who shot. They let them come in and take the body.
Yeah.
And you could see it in, like, I don't know if they showed it in the movie, but you could definitely see it online, of them taking the dead guy's body out from that front door and, like,
Yeah.
carrying him away. And, you know, they show that in the movie.
And they say Thatcher doesn't want any smoke screens during the raid. It
Mhm.
wants to be broadcast live so everyone could see what we do to terrorists.
Was that true?
I-
Do we know if that is true?
I don't know. But
I-
I
I
can't
think
imagine them
I
using that
from what I looked up about the thing, yeah.
I feel like it has to be true considering that
It was-
BBC is government controlled
Right.
and they could just pull the plug on it,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah, yeah.
easily. So,
smoke screens there wouldn't be good anyway. Block the
As
snipers.
hostages.
Yeah.
Block
Yeah.
the snipers.
Yeah.
What
there.
sniper?
They may or may not have existed, these snipers, but that's a point of debate. A critical debate.
so the raid itself, what they show, a lot of it happened. Like a dude did get stuck rappelling
Yes.
down.
On fire.
He got caught on fire.
so bad.
So the interview with the guy I watched, he was saying that he was able to just keep kicking off of the
Yup.
building, and every time he would come in, he would just get set on fire. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. But eventually, he cut himself down,
Yeah.
and I started to think, like, this looks like it's being botched. You know,
It
'Cause
was a little botched.
They seem to have such a hard time getting into the building. The whole event is 17 minutes long,
Yup.
which to me seems very long.
it does. You
Well,
would
they
think it
got
would've been
to
like
they got to
90
check
seconds.
multiple floors, look for hostages.
Yeah, they got to clear the entire
Yeah.
building.
I think in real life, does it say how long it actually lasted? Because I feel
17
like
minutes.
17
17
minutes.
it was
in real life,
17.
Yeah.
But that seems crazy long.
Yeah.
It is long. Why wouldn't they just kill all the hostages right there? You know what I mean?
Well, three hostages were shot.
Yeah.
One was killed, two were wounded.
Yeah.
And they come in, and as that's happening, they light those dudes up
Yeah.
and they kill those two terrorists.
And they show them with the shotgun to open the door.
Yes.
Breaching shotgun.
Yeah, that they had those.
Yeah,
they,
of course.
they were
So they
well armed.
they threw in flashbangs like in the movie. And what actually happened is the curtains inside actually caught on fire.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
And the lead guy, I think his name was White. His gas
Chalky White.
Chalky White. His gas mask, I think, caught on fire.
Mhm.
And he had to take it off and throw it because it caught a flame.
Yeah.
And he had to take it off.
His gas masks aren't flame retardant.
And meanwhile,
Yeah.
in another room,
The scene.
this is real. Trevor Locke, the cop,
Attacked Celine.
he attacked Salim, and they were actually having a fight, just like in the movie,
Mhm.
over the gun. He finally
Yeah.
decided to use it. And as he was down, this is straight movie shit, and
Yeah.
it's real. Salim had him down and was like about to win. They come in and they just
Blast
fucking blow him away.
Yeah, they saved the
Yep.
cop,
Save the officer.
Who-
That's cool.
in turn was kind of like instrumental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He won a medal and shit after.
I like how they show things go wrong. Like you said, it's almost botched. Like they kick the
Well,
window.
one guy's MP5 jammed.
They kick the window, like
That's
it
right.
breaks and it alerts everyone. And then like the guy's hanging on fire, and it's like, oh, they're messing up a lot. But the reaction is, okay, plan changed. Instead of doing this, we're gonna do this. Instead of doing this, we're gonna do this. And it's very fluid.
Yes.
You know, like
They did a
it's-
great job, honestly.
Yeah.
The guy I watched was talking about how they had cleared the section of the building they were responsible for,
Mhm.
and he wanted to continue. And the guy behind him said, "Stop!" Like he grabbed him. He's like, we don't move beyond this point.
Right.
We've reached the limit of our operating
Yeah.
area."
Yeah.
And he said if he had kept walking, he would have gotten shot by his own guys who were
Yes.
coming down the hall the other way
Yeah.
because they're not supposed to be there at that moment.
One
you know?
group went to the
That's how
basement.
well organized. It
Yeah,
is.
one
Yes.
group that went to the basement to clear it. They don't show this in the movie, but they're like doing a sweep and they see like a crouching thing in the corner of the basement.
Tiger.
And they just, yeah, it's a crouching tiger and a hidden
And a
dragon.
hidden dragon, obviously.
Yeah. But they see like this little thing and they just start shooting at it, think it's a hidden terrorist. Thankfully, it went bullet time. It was able to dodge all the bullets.
Yeah. It was on wires.
Yeah.
It just, all this shit started happening.
It was actually a trash can. They just lit up this trash can in the basement because they were like so on edge.
Was there something you wanted to say about guns?
Yes.
Yeah, so this kind of brings, I think this is a good fundamental thing to discuss because you guys clearly watch movies more than I do because I don't like them very much, and you have a podcast about watching movies.
You don't say.
Blows my mind how you guys could possibly watch enough movies to talk about them every week. But so what is why in a movie about a very specific situation and incident do the people who create the movie get the props so fucking wrong? So
You think they do their research?
yes, why can I, just a layman who doesn't even, I'm obviously not an armorer for cinematography.
Well,
I don't think it was
I
obvious.
could
I
watch,
needed to be
yeah,
told.
you're actually right. Yeah. That was my credentials and why I'm on the pod. I'm not just a P-man, I'm also an armorer for
The official armor
for
of,
21st
reviewing
century
history.
Fox.
He's the man responsible for Alec Baldwin
Yes,
killing
Yeah,
that woman.
Yeah.
he was on Rust.
I was on the set of Rust.
He doesn't believe in safety standards.
I actually was trying to frame Alec.
Right.
I wanted him in prison. I want to ruin his fucking life. I wanted to ruin Baldwin's life. But okay, so fundamental question: why you have one job? You are the armorer. You are getting paid to put together props for a movie where clearly the raid of this is the pinnacle of the movie is this raid scene. You have one thing to do is get the guns right. That's it. That's your whole job. To get the guns right. Why are the guns? The guns are so historically inaccurate. So yes, they did in the raid use the Heckler and Koch MP5.
Yeah.
Which was like the
HK, right?
HK MP5, which by the
Isn't
way,
that the John Wick brand?
there was so John Wick did use in the first movie in HK. He
Okay.
used a P30L. But in the last movie, they used something different. But,
Okay.
So the HK, first of all, I don't believe that an MP5 would ever jam. So that must be fake from the movie.
No, it happened.
That really happened?
Yeah.
Because that just seems HK by far the most
100%.
reliable in German engineering on the whole planet. These guns never jam. HK
Well,
never jam.
So the guy who ended up going into the room, so the same guy who had his mask burnt, he came down the hall. A terrorist approached him. His gun jammed. The guy next to him killed that terrorist. Then he was able to unjam the gun. They went into the room, and that's where there was that shooting of the 3 hostages.
okay.
It's the same guy.
So like why aren't the guns like actually accurate to the firearms that were used in the raid? Yeah, they use MP5s in the raid. They use MP5s in the movie.
What is wrong with them?
So the actual hardware on the guns is not accurate to the time period or to the
it's
police
modern?
force. So like, for example, one thing they get right is there's something called a bungee sling, which is like this 3-point sling that goes around the gun. They wrap the bungee sling around their bodies. They're able to it's a submachine gun. It's a small firearm.
Yeah.
It helps them stabilize the firearm when they shoot such a small weapon in tight distances. That was used in real life. That was used in the movie. You can see it. The stocks on the guns in the movie is called an A3 stock. It's an F version of the A3 stock. that version of the stock didn't even exist in that time period. Didn't even happen until they modified the MP5 in the 90s. The trigger housings, the guns themselves. So if you look at the lower half of the guns, the trigger housing is called a Navy. It's a Navy trigger housing. Didn't exist until the F modification happened in the 90s. There's flash hiders in the movie. They put flash hiders on the MP5s in the movie. Flash hiders were not even used on MP5s at that time period. So like, there is things in the guns that are inconsistent with history.
What is even possible?
What's even possible, because they didn't even exist in the time period, and they certainly weren't used.
I think.
And my question is like, why can't? And is this something that is consistent across a bunch of movies?
Yes.
I think it's with this scenario specifically.
Yeah.
I think it's just studio funding and itemization of things. So let's say like I'm an armorer. Okay, do you have submachine guns? Yes, I do. Here's your selection of submachine guns.
Here's what we got.
Instead of me buying like the production to make accurate ones, let's just use what we got. I think that's kind of what like it's close enough where the regular audience is not really going to know.
Of course.
You know, and it's is the funding there to make $200,000 worth of, 10 guns, 20 guns. Would we want to do that? Is it worth it, or should we just use this? I think that's what it comes down to a lot of times.
When people critique historic movies, the weapons
Who does that?
are are always brought up as like being fucked up.
Yeah.
Always.
Oh yeah.
And
People that know better anyway.
well, yeah, and look, to your point, the average person is like, the average person may know that's an MP5 because it's
Right.
like
I
Video
recognized
games,
it. Yeah.
Right.
video games. It's
I thought they looked too big.
prominently used in Die Hard. I think that the
Yes.
MP5 was
Yes.
like Die Hard was a big move with the MP. Like the MP5 is something that a regular person could recognize and say, "Oh, that's cool. I know that gun."
Right.
But like the specificities of like the hardware inconsistencies, you got to be
Joe Schmo doesn't.
you got to have
realize.
somewhere on the spectrum,
Right.
a little Asperger's to really care about.
I
that.
think
Like you.
But like me, I was watching. I was like tweaking out and shit, freaking out. Fucking F stock. Why is there F stocks? Why are there Navy trigger housings? Why is there a flash hider? Like I was raging. It ruined the whole movie for me. Quite frankly, I was disgusted.
So,
Disgusted.
I think
Bald guys, just roll triggers.
Why is this guy bald?
he's a baldist.
I don't think bald people should exist.
That's fair.
I would advocate for bald genocide.
That's fair.
I'd advocate for bald genocide. I don't think not having hair makes you subhuman in my eyes.
What about a cancer survivor? They're out too.
Yep. They're gone.
You know, you could if you wear. I'll give you a pass if you put a wig on.
Okay, that's fine.
But if you're going into society bald and hairless,
All right.
like you got alopecia, buy a wig. I don't give a fuck. Go get a wig. I'll buy you a wig if you're too poor for a wig. I'll donate to.
Our alopecia listeners are going to be furious.
You can. Locks for Love exists. Go to Locks for Love. Get a wig.
You ever donate?
You did, right?
I think you
I
did.
had a very long hair.
Did you have hair down to your
I
ass?
had hair in my arse. Arse. I hit onto my arse. I got to get into the period of the movie. Hit onto my arse. I did cut it. I was going to donate it, but somebody took it and made a voodoo doll of me.
Oh,
My
shit.
hair and wanted to try to kill me. Yeah, so I'm still alive, but it didn't work. So
Really?
yeah, true story.
You wanna-
Somebody stole my hair and made a voodoo doll of my cut off hair that was supposed to be donated. Some bastard deprived a cancer-ridden child of a beautiful fucking red wig because they wanted to try to take my life via some form of absurd
Black magic.
Caribbean black magic.
I also had
Didn't
hair
work,
down to my
motherfuckers.
ass.
Yes, you did.
And when I cut my hair, I fully intended to donate it for the wig. And then when I got to the barber, I realized that you have to go through a whole process
Yes.
to do that. And that's just not something I was going to do.
No,
So when people would ask me, did you donate the hair? I would just say, yes, I did.
of course.
Still invalid.
You gotta just put that out there in the world.
You didn't want some disgusting bald wearing your luscious locks.
I would love that. I would have loved to do it, but I didn't realize. I thought you could just go to the barber and they all just like have a basket, you know, that like you put the hair in. It's like, yeah, take this.
You could have made one bald person more respectable in
Thank
my
you.
eyes.
Thank
And
you.
you failed to do that. You failed to pull that off. But there's just one more bald that needs to be ended in the bald genocide.
Hmm. The baldocalypse.
The bald apocalypse, yeah.
So, real quick, the guns.
Yeah.
I do
Yes.
think that it's two things. I think it's a budget issue more than anything.
Yeah.
And then the other, because this is a low budget movie.
Mhm.
And then the other thing I think it is a location issue because they're in New Zealand.
What?
They filmed in New Zealand, I believe.
What? This
Why would this be a location?
Oh,
I'm a
I
little
know.
confused about why that's a location issue. It's a prop gun. It doesn't fall under any law.
in New Zealand, and all the SAS guys have Scottish accents.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's
they
a
had-
movie about
You didn't.
London.
You didn't want them sending like this, do you?
No.
The only thing worse than a Scot is a Kiwi.
A bald Kiwi. So the location thing, I think decommissioned firearms that tend to be the props, like prop firearms historically are like either live firearms that can shoot live. That's why they use blanks and stuff, or they're like decommissioned, like they'll put like concrete down the barrel and like destroy part of the lower, the receiver or something. I feel like in some of these countries, the laws are so stringent against firearms that even the prop guns may fall. You may be right. They may fall into a category in which you wouldn't be able to use it. But my retort to that is the things that they did to the firearm in the movie.
Make them more dangerous.
Like it's more like modern, like adding a flash hider to the gun that when they weren't using. They added that, like they made that decision to put a flash hider on the gun.
Yeah.
So that it looks
not-
cooler. That's
Yeah.
all
So
it
it
is.
just looks cooler.
The
Yeah.
flash
Fuck
hider's
them.
not stock. I don't think flash hiders
not.
come stock on like
No,
any gun.
definitely not on MP5s.
Yeah.
It could be that that's what the current military MP5s were that they were able to use. And they were like, this is what you can get. I don't know.
Yeah, because the Navy style trigger housing that came out and the F style A3 stock were more modern. They were creations of the 90s. They were more modernized variants of the MP5. And that probably does come down to why they were being used in that way in the movie.
Yeah.
But fuck them still. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
So,
Pisses me off.
so
Where did you find this movie? Because this was your idea.
Yeah, I found the movie because I was like, I really want to watch a movie with a bunch of MP5s in it. And I went on Google and I'm like, what movie has lots of MP5s?
6 days.
Are you
6
serious?
days popped up. Yep, it's 100%.
You
how I
are
found
such
the
a
movie.
fucking weirdo.
he loves the hardware and the gear, man.
I
He's
like
a
the
gearhead.
gear. I'm a gearhead, man. I like the hardware. I like the hardwood. You like that, right? You like that
That's a good
callback?
TSD
You like that
reference.
callback, yeah.
Very subtle.
I'm gonna endear myself to your crowd by bringing that reference up. Don't you? I know. You don't think I know? I fucking know, bro.
So in the movie now, they're like clearing out all the terrorists, and
Yeah.
they're on the stairs, and Jamie Bell gets face to face with one of the terrorists, and he had been studying the
They're
board.
clearing out the hostages.
They're clearing out the hostages. Sorry.
They were
They're
actually
loading them
throwing them down the stairs.
Yeah, they're escorting everyone out.
escorting them down.
And they're checking their faces to make sure a hostage is not a terrorist. Like
So
hiding.
in the movie, Jamie Bell is point blank,
Yeah.
recognizes that the terrorist,
Blast.
and just blows him away.
Yes.
In real life, it's similar. What happened was
He threw him down the stairs.
he hit him on the back of the head, threw him down the stairs, and when he went down the stairs, two SAS
They
guys
emptied 5
in a
clips
crossfire,
into him.
yup, and they
Sick.
just unloaded on these dudes.
Sick. That's
How
great.
many times did he get shot?
I don't know how many times, but
I
it
was
two
told
dudes.
3 to 4 clips were emptied into him.
Holy
Wow.
shit.
and he was holding a grenade.
Yeah.
30 rounds per clip, so he probably got shot
Switch
over
cheese.
100
He
times.
switched cheese. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
sick.
But
That's
the
fucking
MP5 is
sick. Incredibly rapid. rate of
fires
fire.
very fast. Yeah.
Incredibly
It's
rapid rate of fire.
like
Yeah.
that's like what you're talking about, you know. So that many rounds, it probably only takes a couple of seconds.
You shot a minigun once. What was
I
that
shot a
like?
minigun, and I actually shot a full auto MP5.
Oh, you did?
Can we splice in video footage of me shooting an
Yeah,
MP5?
yes, we
can.
Yes. Full
Yeah,
auto
yeah.
MP5.
Yes.
You have it, and
I do. I have the
I
footage.
think we have footage of. Do we have footage of him using the minigun? I think
We
do.
may.
I remember
On
you
my bachelor
shot that,
party.
and
The minigun was pretty sick.
there was 2 guns that that were shot near us that day where I was like, holy shit! And that minigun was one
It was
of them.
one of them.
We specifically booked this place because it fired a minigun, and Pat
Yeah.
wanted it.
I wanted
And
it.
I
How
was
long
like,
did the minigun last when you shot it?
It
less
was
than a second. I think.
150 rounds in like 1 1/4 seconds.
Not kidding, like this.
And
Yeah.
you were done.
And he turned around and goes, "That was the best moment of my life."
In the video, you see my face.
Dude.
I'm like this.
The air from that gun, like
was
it
blown
was like
away.
this.
Yeah.
And then mere seconds later, we're like, "That was awesome." You hear, boom, a guy right next to us. I
Yeah.
don't know why they allow this inside, but he shot a 50 cal sniper rifle.
It was
Right.
so
And
brutal.
And you
felt
felt like
it.
the force.
I felt
yeah.
the force, and I looked, and the guy's just like, I'm like, that was amazing.
The concussive force of that 50 cal going off indoors in that tight little space
Insane.
was brutal.
Yeah.
Insane.
Fucking brutal.
I can't imagine like shooting that without ear protection.
You
ever.
shot the M1 Garand, right?
I
He
did,
did the
yes,
one Garand.
which was very cool.
Yeah.
You got the bing.
Yes, I had to get the historical gun.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I knew you'd like that, so it was
Yeah.
like, that's good. And,
That was a blast.
You had a bolt action.
I shot a
Oh, you
bolt
did?
action Remington 700.
Yeah.
'Cause I
Oh.
actually want to purchase that gun
Uh-huh.
once I get the chance.
I had the M4,
The classic.
Yeah. we got
Yeah.
you them- you shot a grenade, right?
and then
Yeah.
I also got to shoot a
You
grenade.
shot a grenade?
Yeah.
I gave him
How
a
did I
grenade.
miss that?
You didn't know?
Yeah.
No.
It was was it attached to? It was a grenade launcher.
It was a
Or
grenade launcher,
separate-
like a hand grenade
Yeah.
launcher.
Yeah.
No way.
Had a
Yeah,
grenade
I booked it for him.
He got because he was the bachelor. He gets the grenade launcher. It's
Mind
only
you,
sensible.
we so in the bachelor party, he didn't pay. We all split it,
Uh-huh.
and I never told anyone this, but the
You're
cost. No, everyone knows that. The cost. The cost to shoot each gun is fairly cheap, except him.
the minigun.
the
The minigun was like
cost
4 or 5 times higher than all the other guns.
Yeah.
Because it's so much ammunition.
Yes.
Yes. Well, we doubled his ammo.
And everyone,
We all paid $600 so he could shoot a minigun.
technically, me shooting the minigun jacked up everyone. Everyone else had to pay extra like $50 to $20. I could shoot a
Yes.
minigun.
Yes.
It's all right. I got some enjoyment out of watching you do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You missed the target
It
completely.
was insane.
How could you aim?
The gun pulled me to the
Right.
left like immediately.
It's
Right.
supposed to be attached to a helicopter.
Right,
He
yeah.
shot- he
yeah,
shot on
Animal
the
Mother's
floor.
supposed to be mowing down rice farmers. while-
No, the helicopter itself. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
helicopter's gun.
This was Battlefield Vegas, by the way, for anyone that wants to
Yeah.
go.
Oh, yeah.
It was a blast. You could buy and rent a tank.
You can rent a tank,
Yeah.
run over a car, and shoot a shell into the mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it would have cost us like 5 G's.
If you're rich enough, you can actually kill a human being on Battlefield Vegas' grounds. They will let you kill somebody
Vegas
if you
is
have enough
great.
money. If you're Elon Musk, you kill people.
They have
in
a pen full of drifters.
Yes.
Our good
Unleash the drifters!
Where's the nearest railroad?
Kill the transient minigame. Go! People just with miniguns.
dress up like Commodus and just go to town. No, yeah, if you ever get a chance, do that because it's fantastic. You could also go on a helicopter, shoot a minigun from a helicopter. There's
Yeah.
a bunch of things you could do there
They
that
picked, picked
I
us up
would-
on a Hummer, I believe. Or,
Yes.
or
In a Hummer.
Humvee, the actual,
Yes,
an actual
two of them.
military grade Humvee.
And our friend, a good friend of ours, was on acid for about 48 hours straight that day. I'm not going to say his name, but they let him shoot an AK-47.
Yeah.
And that
well,
was terrifying.
they have
My
like
name is
someone
Trippin'
holding
Balls.
your
Tripping
back.
balls. He was peeking.
You know?
Yeah.
He was peeking
Yeah.
with an AK, and it was very funny.
Yeah.
I don't think he knew what he was doing, but
No.
it was a good time. Shout out to you. I know you listen.
Tripping balls.
Well, yeah, we'll go back to this. You said in this 3 hostages were killed. 1 was taken
No,
in the movie.
two in the movie. So there was one guy that was shot at that like
3
was
terrorists were
dragged
killed.
out
3 terrorists.
in the movie. Yeah, I think 3 terrorists are
And
killed
one-
in the movie.
And 1 is captured.
In reality,
Yes.
5 were.
In reality, 5 were
Yeah.
captured.
No,
and
5 were killed.
5 were
Killed.
killed.
One
1 was
captured.
captured.
He
and
snuck out with the
he-
hostages.
and when they were zip tying everybody, they
got him.
identified him,
Mhm.
and that's how they caught him.
Yeah.
And he saw parole in 2008.
Right. And this was in this scenario, I can't think of a better ending realistically.
They played it
You know,
perfectly.
it sucks that they lost a hostage, but
It's
They
kind of the
lost
best
2.
case scenario.
it's the best
Yeah.
case.
They lost
It
2,
really
and they
is.
had 2 wounded.
Yep, 2
Yeah.
died. But
Oh,
one,
2?
One died
during the raid.
before, yeah.
Yeah,
One died
before-
Right.
One was
Before the
executed.
raid.
One was executed, one died during the raid.
Yeah.
Right. So I can't. In all parties involved, the chief inspector, who
The
was
terrorist.
negotiating, the terrorist, SAS, all parties involved. Best case scenario.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Everyone did a great professional job. Good job, guys.
Yeah.
Give it up for the SAS.
good job,
really.
guys. You get a debrief and they inventory everything. You see one of them has a grenade because they shot a guy who was going to blow up the hostages
Yep.
with a grenade, which is terrifying. It's amazing that I don't know if that's real. Like when they shot that dude.
That seems
I
to
don't
be
think
just
he would
dramatic
have-
effect.
yeah.
Wait,
Like,
which guy?
He
What?
picks up a grenade, and they're
So
like,
they're escorting the hostages out when they realize the guy's face, and you said they put him down the stairs and they shoot him.
Yeah, he had a grenade.
No,
on him.
that's real.
He
That's
actually
real.
had the
They
grenade in
all-
his hand, right?
They all had grenades in their hands when they were killed.
Well, yeah.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
That's
They-
a split
They
second.
were getting
like-
ready to blow themselves up.
Yeah.
The SAS acted so quickly that they stopped them from getting any of their
Right.
suicide grenades off.
Sick.
Yeah, it's like in Call of Duty when you have what is it? Last
Oh, martyrdom.
martyrdom. Yeah,
Yep, martyrdom.
martyrdom.
Well, that's what really matters, right? It just this brought Call of Duty and Counter Strike.
Yeah.
So
That's the legacy.
yeah.
yeah, thankfully it happened. It brought me so much joy in hindsight.
So they give a wrap up of the movie, like, you know, May 5th, 1980 set the standard for terrorism. They don't show this in the movie, but Margaret Thatcher actually went to where all the SAS guys were after the operation, and she like partied with them and gave them all beers.
Oh, I
Really?
thought you were
Yeah.
gonna say gave him jobs.
No, there's like pictures, like she was like celebrating
Have a
with
pint,
them.
boys.
Operation Nimrod, it was called.
Yes.
Gave
Do
him
you
some
think-
Billy Joel's?
Anybody did a line off of her ass?
I hope so.
Do you think
It's 1980.
Rusty was doing lines off her ass?
No, I think the sniper did.
The sniper, the salty sniper was blowing lines off of fucking Moggy's ass.
The salty sniper sounds like a great dive
You know, I got
bar.
one confirmed today.
People are gonna remember me forever.
I'm a legend.
Tell me I'm a legend.
When they make a movie 37 years from now, I'm gonna be the fucking main guy.
Look at this head of hair. How could you pass up on a head of hair like this?
Margaret, look at this MP5.
That's very nice.
Very nice.
Let's go kill some Argentinians.
You know, I got two confirms today. We gotta rate this because
Yeah.
it's over. Like the
Yeah.
inspector calls his wife, says everything's okay, and they show footage from like the actual events,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
cool. It looks very accurate
Yeah.
to the movie.
The setting looks
You know.
great. So it was
Great
filmed
job
in
for that.
England for that part, and the rest was like New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
They did a good
but-
job.
So the terrorist that was paroled, his name was Fauzi. Who is yeah. No, Fauzi. He was actually an Arab Muppet. He told very bad jokes. I guess you could say he bombed. Waka waka.
I hate your guts.
You know, I watched a movie called A Stupid and Futile Gesture. And in the movie, they say when something is no longer fun, you gotta stop. You do that to me. What do you rate this, Brian?
Me?
Yeah, what do you rate it?
I'm gonna give it a solid 7.
I did same thing. Same thing.
Totally
7.
fine,
It's a
fun
good
movie. I
yeah.
watched it. If I was flipping the channels, I could stop and watch it in parts.
You could jump in and
Yeah.
it's
Totally
good.
enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seven's a good. Seven's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Pat,
2.
I,
Too
the
many
guns
bald,
and the bullshit.
too many bald people.
you know, obviously I'm a little disgusted by the positive publicity for bald-headed individuals, which to me is disgraceful.
We know in
Then-
real life the terrorist would have said, my man, how is your hair?
Yeah.
Are you bald?
Drink the oil, my man.
The historical inconsistencies with the MP5, of course, obviously pissed me off. But the massive amounts of MP5s in the movie was a plus.
A lot of guns.
I'm gonna give it, yeah.
That's
before-
so Google didn't see you wrong.
Google was really good and positive in this one. They didn't censor this. Yeah, I like the movie. I think the pace, it was a little, it wasn't particularly exciting movie. Like it was kind of like,
Right.
It's a build-up
it's
to one event.
procedural.
Right.
yes, it's
Proceed-
very procedural. Is a
Yes,
good way to
sure.
describe it. Like it's a movie. It's
fast.
clear. It's clear. It is a fast movie. It's only
Yeah.
90 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's a historical movie based on history, and it kind of presents itself documentarian in nature.
Yes.
So it's not the most exciting movie, which gives credence to the fact that it probably is more historically accurate.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. I obviously recommended it would be on this pod, and I said I would do the pod only if we did this movie. I would not do any other movies. So if other things in history I'm interested in,
What other things of MP5s we could have you back on?
I was going to say probably Die Hard would be my next one. A real historical movie.
Nakatomi Plaza.
In Nakatomi Plaza in 1988. Yeah, I'll give it a 7. I think that's a good.
So I
grade.
think 7 across the board.
Across the
Yeah.
board.
It's one of the
passing.
few movies that's completely unanimous.
Yeah,
I think
you
it's the
know,
only
it's, it's good. I reckon it's an easy
Yeah,
watch.
solid movie.
It's
Quick.
You know, it gets the point across, and
Yeah.
yeah, good.
And there's one last
Order of business.
Order of
We do
business.
this every show.
Every show.
episode.
What does this sketch look like to you, Pat? You
have to describe it to the best of
yeah,
your ability.
describe it.
Okay,
The
so
viewers are seeing this
What
right
do you?
now.
What does that look like to you?
I see there's 2 stick figures on top.
On top of what though?
I'm gonna say it's probably supposed to be a building with grass in the front. It kind of looks like hairy balls and like a stub chode dick with like a little splooge coming out. That's kind of what it looks like if you see this.
Well, it's going to be on
They'll
the
see it on the screen.
Okay, yeah.
Now let's
Yeah,
take. now
I'm
we
gonna
take
say
a
this
look.
is supposed to be like the dudes rappelling into the top of the building from the outside.
That
But
is
it's just
correct.
So okay, so
There you go.
as bad as your autistic sensibilities are, I was able to properly guess what this is. I think it's a disgrace.
Oh my!
Is that the Staten Island Ferry?
This is this is a sad clown, don't you?
Oh yeah, that too. That too.
He's wearing balloons on his head, and he has shoulder pads. It's from the '80s.
yeah, 80s clown.
That could also
I can't
be.
actually. I'm
could be
impressed you figured out what this was.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
This
I
looks nothing like
No.
that.
That could be.
It doesn't look like the embassy to you?
No.
No, it
This
looks more
is-
like Minas Tirith.
Yeah. Yeah. It has a face.
This is a Rorschach test in how deep you could dive into Brian's mind.
I should just drew a fucking MP5.
Clearly, I was able to dive into Brian's mind deeply today. I haven't been this deep inside Brian since we were roommates.
Yeah.
My
Brian-
asshole misses
Yeah,
that.
Brian hasn't served up such a steaming turd for me to look at
Oh,
since
I
I
see the
opened my
fire
freezer
now.
in 2016
I see the
and
you
saw
added fire.
unwrapped ground chuck in my face.
This is. Woof. That's bad.
Would you have been able to
bad.
guess what it was?
No.
You don't.
No.
Really?
not at
No.
all, No.
Okay.
Not even with the context of the...
Even with the concept of the movie, I didn't know what that was. It looked like some kind of face to me.
So the lines are actually at the bottom. They're actually the fence.
Oh.
Yeah, and then obviously there's
But you
the
can't
windows
see
and the
through it.
repelling.
Can't see through the fence.
I can't
I,
draw
so
like
I
that.
could tell it was the guy repelling because this is a broken window.
Yes,
Right, there's fire
See?
coming out. I
Yeah.
think.
I understand. Yeah, the guy's on fire. Yeah.
exactly.
It's also really, it could easily also be a chode dick with hairy balls.
Yeah.
That's not even.
All my drawings, by the way,
Often foul.
often they're always
Often
like
foul.
that could easily be a dick.
Yeah.
I think it's my subconscious really
What you want?
letting everyone know.
You're
what
showing
I'm
everyone
about.
what you desire.
Right.
Yeah. I desire macaroni pictures.
Reminds me of, do you remember the erotic art?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
That's what it reminds me
Pat used to draw
of.
erotic art.
Mike was
Well,
Yeah.
you got
also
our
involved in
friend
this.
Mike
Yes.
and Pat.
But I used to draw the erotic art. Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember this?
Every day in school, he would draw stick figures having graphic sex and then pass them around the classroom.
How disturbing was the erotic art?
Often quite, yeah.
It was really something else. It was twisted psyche shit.
Just trying to learn some math. You just see bondage.
Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, that's the episode, guys.
That's it.
That's good.
Great.
All right,
fun.
Pat. Thank you so much.
This was very fun.
Yeah.
I hope you come back one day. We'll find
Yeah,
something with
I was gonna
MP5.
say, yeah. I'll be back, but only if we watch 6 days again and discuss it one more time. I appreciate
Thank you for listening, everyone.
Well, do you have anything you want to plug before we
Ooh,
go?
tell them to go buy your album.
it. Yeah, go on your choice of service, whatever it is. Look up Theater of the Absurd, The Myth of Sisyphus, and buy that album. You'll be the first person in many, many years to buy it if you do so.
I got a signed copy.
You do, yeah. It's a phenomenal album for those who like progressive rock and metal music.
The
if I could
EP.
say
I'm
so.
on the EP.
You can get the EP as well.
The vinyl of the
King of
first
Twilight.
album is still out there somewhere.
I
isn't
don't
it?
want to talk about that. I don't want any of you.
Somebody's got copies of that to sell. I think it's you.
many hundreds of them. That does not get sold. We did a vinyl. We released a vinyl in 2006.
Yes.
Jesus
Which is-
Christ.
Yeah.
If you want to define hipsterism at its purest form, is when
That
someone
was it.
does something cool before it's cool. That was actually something cool before it was cool.
Right.
Because the vinyl revolution.
Also, way after it was cool.
Wait, after this and way before it became cool again.
They jumped on the trend before it was a trend
Yes.
again.
Yeah.
Because now most of the music that is actually sold is vinyl now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's more. CDs are dead.
Yep.
Cassettes are coming back slightly.
If there was a hype train, you guys were walking on the tracks.
Yeah.
You just weren't on the train.
We were not. Yeah, we were on the tracks, and the train was right behind us, and we were about to financially and physically get obliterated. Hell, I even think the fact that we were doing the prog music itself kind of made somewhat of the type of prog also kind of made a bit of a mainstream comeback, like
sure.
Hacking.
eight
Yeah.
years-
Not long after
not
that.
long after that either. So we were the predecessors to All Things Great. I'm a genius.
He's so modest.
I'm a creative genius. I'm a musical genius, as you could hear from
And Warhol.
the P-Man. I have hair. I'm not bald.
Look at that. Look at that beautiful red.
Most importantly, I'm not a bald fuck. I'm gonna plug my hair. I'm gonna plug my bands. I'm gonna go plug some asses tonight. That's my plan.
I fucked up your back.
That's how I fucked. That's how I. It all goes full circle. So I fucked up my back. I blew my
But
back out.
the EP, I actually do gang vocals on it.
You are in. Yes, you are.
I'm on the vinyl.
You are on the vinyl doing gang vocals.
Yes.
Yeah.
You are on the EP doing gang.
Yeah. Which song am I on?
You are on.
Is it the King Show cover?
So that actually didn't get released on the EP. So you did vocals
On the thing
On
that
it-
never got released.
unreleased track, an unreleased cover of an obscure Japanese band.
Really? I thought, dude, I could have sworn I listened to that on like Spotify the other day.
No. Maybe one day. Maybe if there's enough demand from your fan base, maybe we'll release the album to all 25 people who watch your show.
25. You're so generous. You gave us like 3 times the amount of listeners.
one
About
one
as many-
final thing before we start closing this up here. Would you ever think about releasing a P-Man style album?
Just a whole like 40 minutes of P-Man style
Not just
songs.
like of style songs like that. Maybe even like concept.
I would do one singular 40-minute long track, existential type of crisis determination
right.
shit, and it would be just the P-Man.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what? That may get me back into music.
Yeah.
I haven't written music or even played drums in many years. That may be the thing that
That's
sucks.
the thing.
The desire to do this project.
We're gonna
and
get
to bring
emails
this up.
from people be like, "He better do this." Like,
We want it. We want more
We need
P-Man.
You know what? Yes, I'm very happy. I want to put myself into more financial distress over albums that no one's going to listen to. Something I've been desperate to do for many years now. Thank you. I
All right.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you for coming on.
Thanks,
Thank you for
guys. Thanks,
listening,
Pat.
for watching, Brian.
Yep. All right,
Do your
ready?
thing.
This is everyone's favorite part of the show, the Brian wrap
This is
up.
where everyone shuts off.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Please like and subscribe, guys. Click the bell to get notified. It's very important because we get buried by the algorithm and this will disappear
Ring the
if you
bell.
do not click the bell. Like and subscribe everywhere. Follow the show on all social media. Review History Pod on Twitter. Reviewing History Pod everywhere else. Send an email into the show, reviewinghistorypod@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought of Patrick the P-Man Curley. Let us know if you want him back. Let us know your thoughts on anything or ask us a question. Go to reviewinghistorypod.com. Please buy some merch. Help support the show. You can also support the show by going to Apple Podcasts, giving a 5-star review, rating the show, all that good stuff. Follow me personally on all social media at Brian Rupert. That's with 2 P's. Instagram, Letterboxd, Facebook, Twitter, Letterboxd. I rank and review every single movie I watch. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Anybody who sends a screenshot of a Theater of the Absurd song being streamed, I will send a pack of Skittles to on my own dime.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Have you had it off like that
Skittles.
before? I'll send you a pack of fucking Skittles.
Can you take us out with an I am the P-Man? Or is that just...
You're going to hear I'm going to be the last voice you're going to hear in this episode because I always am. Never forget that.